you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Seven o'clock in St. Louis, and you are listening to TMA, presented to you by Brown & Croup and 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel, which is sponsored by Michelob Ultra. And Doug, no, I'm not going to be much good to you, as I'm in a deep, deep funk after that performance last night. And now our club is in trouble, facing elimination in the Sundress game.
Yeah, Sundress Showdown in St. Louis.
Showdown.
But you got the 7 o'clock start with the Capitals taking care of business and the Panthers taking care of business. That means the Blues and the Jets, the only game in the Stanley Cup playoffs tomorrow night and Sunday for Game 7 back in Winnipeg, which will be the first ever Game 7 in Winnipeg. Think about that.
Assuming the Blues win on Friday, and of course they shall. Of course they shall, but they're going to have to play better than they did last night.
What makes you say that?
Well, because they lost 5-3, and it could have been considerably worse.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets did to the Blues almost what the Blues did to the Jets in Games 3 and 4.
I don't think we saw it coming either. So much for momentum.
Tim, they're already on to the next game. It was a classic NFL coaches post-game.
Belichicked it. Son's girlfriend monitoring the interview.
You come into the room. Hey, what happened on that? We're on to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, but this one just ended. We're on to the next one.
That's Jim Montgomery, and he was on to the next one, and that was Hove and Swizz Beatz, 2009.
I don't know Swizz Beatz.
Married to Alicia Keys.
Yep. Is he?
Going to join us after Jeremy Rutherford joins us at 8:20. And on the Stiefel dossier, Martin, I don't know if this is in the paper dossier that you and
There's
Doug
no
get.
paper dossiers anymore.
No, we've gone green.
It's been weeks.
It's
Libby Jack.
It's Jackie Paper's Green Initiative.
Oh,
Aren't you going to go play in sewage this weekend?
Yeah, I can't control that. I told you I want to be sanitation commission.
Doug, are you going to hire him for sanitation commission?
how would you
in your
clean up
county?
the Lake of the Ozarks?
Oof, boy, I need some funding.
What mile marker do you start at?
One.
Just a couple of droplets of chlorine.
Jeremy Rutherford at 8:20 now in the dossier, which apparently I'm only privy to now. Mm-hmm. This is an exclusive Stiefel dossier.
They say that as they have two monitors right in front of them.
Bo!
But where is it?
I don't like the feeling in the room this
Where
morning.
would it be?
Where would it be?
Yeah.
I've sent it to you via email.
website?
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'll send it again.
It's an email.
Yes, sir.
I don't see it. I don't
Doug's
have it. I
email
don't have it.
is a crisis on this show.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of email addresses.
It's like playing roulette.
Why? I don't have it.
Doug at Doug.com is often getting spammed.
It is.
And he
Doug
just
says he has
can't find it.
1.7 million unread
A lot of
emails.
John Birch emails you hadn't gotten to yet. That's-
Jeremy Rutherford is at 8:20. However, Martin, in the dossier that I am only
No, I'm closing
accessing,
in. I'm closing in.
It says it's flight dependent. I don't know if in Winnipeg they just kind of let you know when you're going. I don't know how it works. But
Hey, welcome aboard, eh? We'll get going just in a bit or so.
Adam Wainwright at 9 o'clock.
All right.
And Bernie Federko at 9:45. There is your Stiefel dossier here on TMA. Of course, you are welcome to express your frustration, whether it be with the Blues or with the entirety of the show, individual members of the show, life in general. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Chairman Kurt is standing by. Doug, you love to load up phone lines following a playoff loss.
Sure.
Callier and Thompson sponsor those phone lines, 314-974-0101. And they have gathered in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat to talk it over and express their dismay at the festivities last night. Martin, as you noted, the Blues head coach was on to Cincinnati, to paraphrase Bill Belichick, following the Patriots getting shipped one Monday night years ago. Jim Montgomery was on to Game 6 very quickly. However, what he did say is the Jets played their best game of the series and the Blues played one of their worst games, and that's why he didn't really want to spend much time breaking it down.
And he sort of talked about it in the pregame that there's a lot of over-analysis of a playoff series. And he said you give the coaches so much credit, too much credit. Because they're asking about matchups and the home ice and the late changes and the matchups with the number one line. He said, guys, you're giving the coach too much credit. I think he had a kind of a similar vibe post-game. Like, they just were better. Blues weren't. But I didn't sense, and Shen kind of had the same thing. All right, Game 6, moving on. That they weren't surprised that Winnipeg played well. I didn't think they seemed like they didn't seem freaked out. Like, all right, we didn't play well. We'll go home and win.
I agree with that. I agree with that assessment. And I thought it was, for example, you had to be paying close attention. Timmy Pabst, who got our guy Alex Ford,
How about that?
the caller, about 2 minutes into the third period, Jamie Rivers called attention to Alex Ford wearing his Blues red retro sweater at Winnipeg. Maybe Alex will call in route back to St. Louis. Hell, maybe he's already back, Doug. Be very quick.
It's driving dependent whether he can join us.
Call
or
in,
not.
Alex, 314-974-0101. We ask that the Falcons defensive coordinator's son not prank us because, candidly, our system is not much of a fortress to get through. But the Parayko's ass, I guess, scored a goal. I think that would be fair to say. And they cut to him on the bench, and he just kind of shrugs his head and goes, "Meh." You know, it was a split second, but that was the attitude from the Blues fan perspective. the Scheifele situation is significant. I think that kind of goes without saying, just like we would say about Dylan Holloway's situation being significant. I don't think people, maybe casual fans, have knowledge of Tyler Tucker's impact on this team. I think you saw that last night with him not being there. It's not like Suter looked great. Leddy didn't look great. The Blues defense, which has played a large role in their success scoring-wise, not great across the board last night. Some of the Winnipeg goals, just guys completely roaming free in the front of the net. But no Scheifele, and the Blues style of play is now wearing on the Jets. And I realize you lose a game 5 in that fashion. Doug, you would say, I think you say they are also on scholarship. Is that what you said?
Hell, they's on scholarship too.
That's exactly right. That's
Bobby
a Canadian
Bowden?
accent. Mm-hmm. Is that Bobby Bowden?
Well, yeah, I heard him say that.
Was it Bobby Bowden?
Yeah.
I always think about. I didn't know if it was exactly.
I feel like he could be damn near any SEC coach, but Bobby Bowden is the one responsible for it. That's a great hockey team. But they are now going to be, I would guess, since he wasn't on the ice for the second or third period, without Scheifele. Now, to their credit, without Scheifele, once again in Winnipeg, that game started to turn in the second period, and they just stifled the Blues. And there were a lot of complaints in Winnipeg, about Hellebuck, and he had the save of the game with that pad save, but also secondary scoring, and they got the secondary scoring, except the secondary scoring came when Scheifele went out, and they had to make adjustments to their lines, and that's when they took over that game.
Sometimes teams pick it up when their stars go out. Everybody ratchets up their game another notch or two. After that early second period goal by Snuggerud, I mean, Winnipeg just absolutely dominated that second period. All the Blues could hope to do was get to center ice, dump it in, change lines, and go back on defense. That was most of the second period. They're lucky they didn't give up 2 or 3 more in that period because they were just thoroughly outplayed in the second. And then still came back and had some chances in the third.
Yeah.
John Kelly pointed out the Jets had yet to score a second period goal through 4 games that the Blues had led or won that period 5-0. But when Snuggerud scored, just looking at the screen, it was 7 shots total at that point. Here we are, 6-7 minutes into the second period. It's their 7th shot, and you got this guy Hellebuck, who everyone in the planet's talking about. I think he needed to get as many pucks on net to kind of test him. And obviously, you give the Jets credit for not allowing that. Or maybe the Blues didn't get to their game, Doug. They didn't get to their game.
No.
But I would have loved to have seen him face 25, 30 shots.
Winnipeg's system, when it's Jets playing Jets hockey, and we had the guest on from Winnipeg yesterday, Jim Toth, and I know some people were listening and they didn't like that he was kind of talking about, hey, this is the Jets. This is the Jets to win. This is also the Jets to lose because the Jets are the superior team. I realize when you're on in the opposing team market, that isn't going to play well even if the team had the regular season that the Jets have. I do agree with him on that. I also don't think that this is really the full Blues team that they have been playing, and that kind of goes without saying considering Holloway hasn't been a part of it, and last night was the most minutes Colton Parayko had played all series, so they aren't necessarily getting the full Colton Parayko, even though he's back out there after missing a month with injury. With all of that established, the Jets played their game last night, and the Jets playing their game means taking control of the neutral zone and not allowing the Blues to get in there, and that's what they did. That issue with the shots, Martin, started in the first period. It started about halfway through the first period where the Blues just weren't able to get anything going and testing Hellebuck. And for the record, the Snuggerud goal would be considered another softie. That's one that most NHL goaltenders would say, yeah, if not all NHL goaltenders for that matter, you got to stop that one.
That's what Snuggerud does that I like. He just shoots it. He just fires away as soon as he's got it. I wish more of them did that because they did pass up a few shots. But some nights, everything just clicks. The passes are tape to tape. The shots pick the corner of the net. And then other nights, nothing really works. And that's kind of where the Blues were last night.
Blues got puck luck in Game 4. Winnipeg got it in Game 5. And I think that's why Montgomery had the attitude that he had. Now, with that said, as the Lightning and Panthers wrap things up last night with the Panthers advancing, and you had a little sidebar going between Panthers head coach Paul Maurice and Lightning head coach John Cooper going back and forth. We now have that following Game 5. I realize many Blues fans probably are not aware of this, waking up this morning, seeing as the game ended probably sometime around 11:30. But following the game, Jim Montgomery, in a very brief media session, 3 minutes, he wasn't terse, but he just was moving on to Game 6 very quickly. He gave his assessment on what took place with Scheifele missing the second and third period, and Scott Arniel of the Jets was pissed about it. Let's start, Jackson, with Montgomery's comments, because this is what came first, and then that's what led to Arniel's response. Here is Blues head coach Jim Montgomery on Mark Scheifele missing the final couple of periods and what caused it.
And let's make it clear. 55 got hurt from the Faxa hit. He played 6 minutes after the Shen hit. He didn't come back after he got rocked by Faxa.
Because the assumption was Shen knocked him out of the game.
So Scott Arniel then speaks to the media following that. Here's what he has to say.
What were your thoughts on the Shen hit?
Well, I didn't know Monty got his medical degree. I'm trying to say how our player got hurt. He's way off base. Should not make that comment. There's some things that have been going on in this series, and that was a repeat of what we've seen before. A player leaving his feet and then hitting a player in a very unprotected spot, like hitting them in the sense almost blindsiding them. Not happy how the call was made. 2-minute minor. Not even looking at it is what I was upset about. And it is something that we have talked to the league about for 5 games.
Well, it wasn't much different than the Cairo hit earlier. And I agree. He played after the Shen hit. Faxa hit him darn near as hard as Shen did.
And it was funny because it looked like Scheifele was lining up Faxa to blast him, and then Radek responded or kind of got ready for the hit. But it's possible that he did get injured on the Shen hit and then just stayed out there, and then the Faxa hit kind of finished him off.
So Arniel is screaming at the officials before the start of the second period because I would imagine he is now pissed off that he finds out that one of, if not his best players, is not going to be able to play the remainder of the game. Might find out that he's not going to be available for the remainder of the series, and who knows if the Jets were to go on beyond this series, what his availability or the impact of his injury will be. So he is banty as all get out at the start of the second period. Then they go over to Jim Montgomery. Montgomery explains that that's standard. If a coach wants to talk to the officials, then the officials also have to talk to the other coach to explain what the coach is pissed off about. That's why Montgomery makes the statement that he does, probably to try to get out ahead of the NHL player safety and any impact it might have if they start going after Braden Shen on that. He did leave his feet, and the initial angle, at least on the FanDuel Sports Midwest broadcast, didn't show that, and Jamie Rivers and John Kelly were saying that didn't really seem like, and then they showed the other angle, and then Rivers goes, oh, okay, well, now I see it. He did leave his feet. I realize saying that in St. Louis isn't going to be popular, but that's my brand. But that did happen. As far as on the other side of things, I still am in awe when I see Logan Stanley go after Jimmy Snuggerud. It is the strangest damn thing. I mean,
I never get emotional about hockey in like 2019. Watching that, I was like, "Who's this Stanley guy?" Watch your hands, Buster. Get off.
How do you like that guy on your team,
down. Calm down. Get off our Snuggie. Get off our
Watch your
Snuggie.
hands, Buster. I yelled out, "You're a bitch!" And the Fox in the Fox 2 Sports office last night, I was like, "Are you?" And producer Dave and I are like, "What is he doing? Like Snuggerud? What do you weigh? 80 pounds more than? Are you kidding me?" And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, now it's a playoff series. I think
it's like the biggest guy walking in the bar looking for the smallest guy to pick a fight with.
It's something to behold. But now you have the two coaches going back and forth as Arniel's pissed at Montgomery for saying what he said. Montgomery had a strategy there, I'm sure, and that is, okay, we might have a problem with this. Can't have this happen. Team's already, in some capacities, diluted as it is with health. Robert Thomas didn't look great coming off the ice last night. Jordan Kyrou has had a really rough series, but I think some of that could be some of the hits that he's taken, going back even to the very first couple of games in Winnipeg, and then he took another one last night. Now the Jets are unhappy because you don't know what you got with Scheifele. Blues have been all over Morrissey. And so now, you got a Game 6 on a Friday night at 7 o'clock in the Sundress Showdown special in St. Louis. How do you do?
Well, I'm fine. The penalty I hated the most was the one on Sundqvist for embellishing. He took an elbow to the mouth, falls down, and they call a penalty on him for embellishing?
He said after the game, he said, well, I've got blood and my teeth hurt, but I guess that's embellishing.
He actually, we have that audio. Take a listen. Here is 70.
I mean, I'm bleeding from my lip and my teeth are hurting, so I don't know how that's an embellishment, to be honest.
No, God bless.
That was a terrible call.
They were missing penalties on both. I mean, the Blues had Bolduc one time, and I can't recall the other one. But I respect it when writers are not in the get me likes business on social media. And Mike McIntyre, my guy in Winnipeg, was saying they just the Jets are fortunate because Bolduc took a shot to, I think he called it his male global region.
Global?
Yeah.
Oh.
And or his gentleman's region. Something along those lines.
Like a gentleman's sweep?
Yeah, gentleman's sweep. A couple of those last night. And so the Jets were fortunate that wasn't called. There were two of them. So, that was an advantage. The fact that the Blues dodged some bullets as well. But, yes, the embellishment call on Sundqvist may have been the most egregious thing that was actually called. And then in the second half of the game, they just called nothing.
Yeah. Zebra swallowed his whistle.
Aye.
And they called everything early on. They just kept stopping the game.
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go. The ref show. Here we go.
It felt to me like they got caught up in the home crowd there a little bit early.
Yes.
The Sundqvist penalty might be the worst penalty I've seen this year.
And if you see him play, he's always kind of flopping and flying. He looks tipsy, topsy-turvy, like the way he plays, because he's out there pinballing off people. To see him go flying back, it just seemed like a terrible call, and they're like, oh, no, we got this. We're under control here. And then the rest of the game, like, okay, you guys, never mind.
How often do they ever call embellishing? It's very rare to call that, much less when a guy gets an elbow in the mouth.
By the way, Doug, Jimmy Snuggerud weighs $185, dripping wet. Logan Stanley, in addition to being 6'7", is 231, nice. So that's a 46 pound.
And this is the second time he's done it.
Yes.
And then it was like, obviously Snuggerud's not, trying to go back at him, and he just keeps and then he falls, and then he's still on top of him, and then it's just
what do you think the kid's going to turn around and say, let's go?
Help me. I don't know how, I would imagine if it was a St. Louis, people yeah, I love it, but if it's just we're going with a Blues player doing that to one of them, I'd go, what are you doing? So this is the second time it's happened. It's just so bitchy. It's exactly what the word is, Martin. You called it out of the...
Oh, I screamed. I was like, okay, now it's a playoff series, because I was griping about the refs, which I hadn't through 4 games. And then Stanley, I couldn't take it anymore. And then I'm screaming, get him out. The guys are sitting in front of Benny. I hate it. Texier is a foot away from Kyle Connor. Well, what do you think that guy's going to do? They're going to get him the puck. He's going to score. I didn't play the game, Doug. I could just about guarantee they're going to try and put that puck right in front to Kyle Connor. And Texier is just standing next to him, looking at him.
Well, if they're going to go after Snuggerud, why don't the Blues go after Connor? He's the same size as Snuggerud, 6'1", 183.
Doug's calling, putting a bounty on him.
Yeah, little bitch. Turnabout is fair play.
Yes.
You're welcome to get involved. Many people are fired up this morning in the St. Louis area, and we welcome your venting. 314-974-0101. That's how you can call on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. You can email in for our Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, the morning after, at InsideSTL.com. Brand new month, Doug. Brand new month. Okay. And the JV golf coach won the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the month. Last month, everybody's tied right now, though. And everybody's got zeros. Who's going to do it in the month of the Dotem? Winning in May is always really special because you're winning in the month of the Dotem, and you're celebrated at the Dotem, and that's a great thing to have. It's like having bottle service. So who's going to win it? The Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. The competition for May begins today at 10:45. Design Air is online at designairservice.com. I'm a client. Doug's a client, and Martin's a client. And when it heats up, you want to have that air conditioning firing on all cylinders. Do so by going to designairservice.com and getting things checked out.
out. Rain in the forecast. I don't know what happened. It looked like it was going to be glorious starting on Saturday. Now Saturday, 80% chance of rain, 65% chance of rain on Sunday, and a high of 56. I want to fight the forecast.
Do you?
Martin wants to fight Logan Stanley. Anybody you want to fight?
No, I just say we go after Kyle Connor.
All right.
I don't want to be the guy to do it necessarily.
Right. Design Air Heating and Cooling, longest running sponsor on TMA, sponsor of the email of the day, designairservice.com. That is how you can get involved. We carry over our Blues discussion into the second segment with your texts, with your Michelob Ultra YouTube chat comments, and with your phone calls. Jeremy Rutherford in an hour. Bernie Federko coming up in the Mark Hanna Evergreen Wealth Strategies, 9 o'clock hour. And Adam Wainwright will also join us as the Cardinals had a really good day yesterday. I don't know if anybody really wants to talk about it around here, which is a weird place to be, but that's where we are. There is your Stiefel dossier. This is the Morning After, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Hey, 101 ESPN. Jeremy Rutherford's going to be with us at 8:20. Bernie Federko in the 9 o'clock hour, which is presented by McKernan, Evergreen Wealth Strategies. And we also will be joined by Adam Wainwright in the 9 o'clock hour. Your emails in the 10 o'clock hour for the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. This is a chance to compete with Buck Swope, who is at war right now with Dan Jansen. Doug Dan Jansen's in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. Sharon and Clayton is at war with the self-made stay-at-home Ladue mom. Mr. Licks is at war with the Orson Woods Wacko, and Jim Montgomery's at war with Scott Arniel. For those of you just joining us, Jackson, let's reset the conversation back and forth post-game last night as Jim Montgomery addressed the media on Scheifele missing the last couple of periods, and then Scott Arniel not being happy with Jim Montgomery's comments. Here's Jim Montgomery first.
And let's make it clear. 55 got hurt from the Faxa hit. He played 6 minutes after the Shen hit. He didn't come back after he got rocked by Faxa.
All right, there's Jim Montgomery. A few minutes later, Scott Arniel, the head coach of the Jets, is asked about it. Here's what he had to say.
What were your thoughts on the Shen hit?
Well, I didn't know Monty got his medical degree. I'm trying to say how our player got hurt. He's way off base. Should not make that comment. There's some things that have been going on in this series, and that was a repeat of what we've seen before. A player leaving his feet and then hitting a player in a very unprotected spot, like hitting them in the sense almost blindsiding them. Not happy how the call was made. 2-minute minor. Not even looking at it is what I was upset about. And it is something that we have talked to the league about for 5 games.
Scott Arniel. His player Logan Stanley continues to push around Jimmy Snowden.
Right. Well, why did he play another 6 minutes if that's the one he got hurt? If he was hurt, you should have taken him out of the game earlier.
Jackson, do you have the answer to that?
Oh, delayed trauma, something like that. I don't know. Fox rocked him. I mean, that was open ice.
How do you do?
That seems like that would hurt more than getting kind of stapled to the boards. I've obviously never played 1 millisecond of hockey or even been near, a rink like that. But that seems like that would hurt way more.
Sometimes if you get hit in the head, if you take a headshot, it doesn't really kick in for a few minutes after that.
Yeah.
I've been there and done that with concussions.
Do you think that's possible that the Shen hit did sort of set him on his way to an injury? And then Faxa just sort of sealed the deal. I like when coaches start sniping. I remember Pete DeBoer would say things about the Blues. And Hitch would say, he needs to worry about his team over there. Don't talk about my team. And I'm like, I like that.
Yeah, here we go. That's what I was saying. You had it going on with Maurice and Cooper in that Lightning Panther series. That thing's over. So now you got Montgomery and Arniel. Here we go. Setting up the showdown tomorrow night. Could have that going. You're welcome to get involved on the program. 314-974-0101 is how you can call in. Save the Collier and Thompson phone lines in your phone to call in. And, Doug, it's May 1st, May Day. We are heading over to Villa for the Maypole festivities after the show. They always invite us. And, Jackson, that means you will be updating people's text inbox names today, and he's going to be out tomorrow. So Doug Jackson said he will extend it to next Friday to make up for the day he misses tomorrow while he vacations at the Lake of the Ozarks, something I know Jackson is kind of bragging about a little bit. And so if you want to have a text inbox name on TMA, how can people catch your attention, Jackson? You like, what do you like, Ween picks?
I don't know if I can solicit those, but I won't look away. But
can't you update some of these names? You're not going in the water anyway at Lake of the Ozarks. Can't you just sit at this little tent that you're going to stay in and update the names?
You think I'm staying in a tent?
Yes.
Like
KOA campground?
No. No, that's not how I want to spend my day off personally. But I'll change them today and all next week. Yeah. Okay. Just I don't know. Just be smart.
Just be smart.
Just be smart. Watch your hands, Buster. Is that taken?
Yeah, no, that's available.
Macho kisses?
Macho Kessis is out there.
Just be smart.
You think there's ever been a hockey player in the NHL say to another player, "Watch your hands, Buster"? I don't think so.
Not since the turn of the century.
Yeah, maybe an original six exchange. Well, it was obvious in the first period what side the officiating was on. There were several penalties that could have been called against Winnipeg and were not called. Jake Neighbors was tripped right in front of the referee. Would have put the Blues on a 5-on-3. They turned their heads. This league is an effing joke, and they wonder why the average fan won't watch this league. They need to keep their nose out of the officiating or get officials who are fair. That game last night was not even close to being fair. Doug, that's from the 8-7-0.
Okay.
I don't agree with the overall premise. I do agree that was alarming when Neighbors, and it was right in front of the official. Sometimes I know they just can't see it. I think some of the shots to the balls that some Blues players took, Bolduc and Schenn.
Global region,
below the equator. Those may not have been seen. The Neighbors one that would have put the Blues on a 5-on-3 was right there, and I have no idea how that wasn't called. But I think had it been an even strength situation, I think it would have been called, which speaks to what frustrates fans. The game is called one way in the regular season and called a different way in the postseason. And for hockey fans who want casual fans to get on board, it's tough to explain that to the casual fan.
Mm-hmm. I don't doubt that it's a very difficult game to officiate. It moves so fast, and there's so much hitting that's legal. And sometimes you see a huge hit that just levels a guy, and it's perfectly legal. And then they'll just, with the stick, hit the guy's skate, and he falls over, and that's a penalty. I'm sure it's a very difficult game to call. But it did seem like Winnipeg got the better of things last night.
I don't know on that overall. I realize saying that here isn't popular, but I just thought it was a very oddly officiated game, and that everything was being called in the first 20-plus minutes, and then the final 30-ish or so, nothing was called, and they lost control of it. So then they just started calling everything, and then they just let it go. And I thought it was poorly officiated overall.
Me too. I'm still upset about the Sundqvist.
The Sundqvist embellishment thing was just like, let's grab something. It's just ridiculous.
It did seem to be wildly inconsistent. Like, all right, this is going to be a game where there's lots of whistles. And then there were none.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was the early shot where you had three Blues players in the box together. I like the one when it was Schenn and Federko. And Federko was kind of laughing because Schenn might have been yelling. I don't know if it was his brother over there, but Schenn was saying something to the other.
Stanley was in there.
And then Schenn was saying something, and Federko just started laughing. And I'd never known Schenner to be a one-line guy.
I'd be curious what those guys think about Stanley going after Snuggerud. Like, were they laughing about that, or are they pissed by it? I mean, because again, it's one of those, like, if your buddy, you made the analogy, Doug, of like the biggest guy in the bar walks in and he beats up the littlest guy in the bar, like nobody would go, nice job. Mm-hmm. You know, now if the guy is the little chicken hawk and trying to cause crap, then okay, well, that's a different deal. That's not what Snuggerud's doing. He's just this, and again, it's the second time Stanley's done it. It is what Martin called it in the first segment. It is a bitch move. It's just such a strange strategy.
Yes. Remember the cross checks in game 1 or game 2 where he just kept doing it. Again, like, okay, enough.
Why isn't that a penalty? If you want to take some of the chippiness out of the game, trying to start a fight should be a penalty.
Robert Thomas put a stick in a guy's face for 15 seconds into the game. Let's not act like it was one-sided, Doug. That's Nate the Great texting into the program.
Okay. No, we're not acting like it's one-sided.
Bottom line, we got our ass kicked. Friday return to favor. Let's effing go!
Oh, watch
That's
your
from Chairman
hands,
Steve in
Buster.
Wildwood, and he's ready to run through a brick wall.
Okay.
Let's do it. Can't wait. Boy.
Yeah, I will agree. Winnipeg was a better team last night. I don't think there's much doubt about that.
Even when they tied it at 1, you're like, well, maybe. And then they tied it at 2. You're like, maybe. But you never had a great feeling about the way they were playing. I never felt like, oh, they're going to come smoking out in this next period. Oh, they're going to really take hold of this game. Just because they weren't getting shots on net. I thought that was the whole key.
Well, there was that on that end of the ice. I agree with you 100%. In general, the fact that Winnipeg was able to do what Dallas was able to do in Game 5 against the Avalanche, I thought was so critical. If there is any carryover from what transpired, obviously, to the Blues' favor in St. Louis in Games 3 and 4, when they scored 90 seconds in, I mean, boom, that extinguishes it. The Stars scored 11 seconds in against the Avalanche. Any carryover from that 4-0 Landeskog celebration in Denver put to bed right away. So, boom, you snuff that out, and St. Louis games 3 and 4 are immediately forgotten. So that, from the Blues standpoint, sucked. And then specific to the other end of the ice, you had 2 different goals, and the first one was a case of it's sloppy. Thomas should have been called for a penalty. He wasn't on the stick. That's what set up a very odd. I thought there was going to be a whistle. I think maybe the Blues did too, and that's why Connor was sitting there just unmarked in front of the net. But yeah, the Blues were off and kind of doing what Winnipeg was doing in St. Louis and letting guys get close to Binnington, and that's how they were able to get those kinds of goals. So it was not pretty on either end, and Winnipeg controlled the neutral zone, and when Winnipeg does that, that's when Winnipeg snuffs out teams' offenses, and you don't see the Blues get any shots on goal. That's what happened in particular in the second period, but really the second half of the first period as well. You're welcome to get involved, 314-974-0101. Got the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. That is active. 228 friends have gathered. Lex Luthor's in there talking about the Timberwolves series, Doug.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then John Scores is talking to the Jefferson Barracks Gigolo.
Oh, they still have gigolos in Jefferson Barracks?
I believe so. And he's talking to the TMA remote lamp. And Chairman Kurt, you theorized that the TMA remote lamp has a wide variety of names and talks to himself in the YouTube chat?
I'm not saying he talks to himself, but I do think there's some multiple personalities going on there.
Oh, wow, Doug. You want to lead that investigation?
If I can find the time, Tim, I am so pressed for time.
I know you got some things on your plate.
Pressed for time. It is amazing when they win. We look at that Blues defense and say it's an older group, but boy, that's a veteran group. And then last night they looked old. It's like, boy, we got a great veteran group back there. And like, oh, come on, Letty, let's go.
Suter and Letty.
Come on, yeah. And maybe it was a natural reaction, Suter sitting for a while. And I think Curbs and Joey said it on the podcast, maybe a little bit of rust. I think they were hoping the opposite, that Suter at age 40 would be rested after sitting for a couple of games. But there are times I just hate it when they don't move a guy out. That Niederreiter goal, he's just sitting right in front. Is it illegal, Doug, to touch the other player? Is that illegal in hockey?
That's legal.
Can we move them away from the goalie?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you can't check him or that'd be interference.
I know, but you can just get a bit of
Stand
body
in front of him. Yeah.
Maybe get within 8 feet of him, maybe.
Doug, you love the phone lines. You say that
there's a little bit of poison.
Martin Ron is not happy, and he is with us here on 101 ESPN.
Good.
Ron, you're
We're not
on
happy either.
Jackson Burkett. Good morning.
Good morning. My question is, when in the heck is Kyrou, our $8.5 million man, going to start doing something other than coughing up the puck in the offensive zone? He had 1 shot on goal last night. You got Walker, who gets 2 goals, which is an anomaly, I understand. But, I mean, Kyrou's supposed to be our big gun. He's doing nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, he had the 1 goal early in the series, and Chris Kerber on that podcast, again, Curbside referenced the big hit on him early in the series. He didn't say he's hurt, but he said he hasn't been the same since that hit. Remember, we talked about it the next day, how he came back and played. Ray Barilli was with him on the bench and looked like kind of sniffing salts, adjusting his back, whatever they did. So I don't know, Ron, maybe he is nicked up because of that, and then what do you do if you got a high scoring player, but he's nicked up, you're still going to roll him out there. But you're right. They need, maybe this is the Kyrou game on Friday. They need something from him.
Ron's gone.
Oh, he just hit and run.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that.
He slept on that all night.
Doug, whereas Jordan Kyrou in the regular season was Blues top for plus minus. He is at the bottom in the postseason. He is a -5 for the Blues. During the regular season, he led the Blues with plus minus of plus 23.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely need some offense out of him if they're going to win the series. It's hard not to have him be a big offensive factor and win a 7-game series against a very good defensive team.
What they needed were the refs to call the hit to the head on Kyrou and have somebody suspended. You guys are insane for not saying that.
That's from the 636.
And that's one where Monty didn't complain about it. I mean, that's one Stanley. It appeared to us at the time to be clean, but it was a pretty wicked hit on Kyrou. Blues didn't say a word. So Scotty, that's the chant I want Friday night. Tim, when the refs calls are bad, I want them to chant Scotty.
Oh, nice.
For Jackson's guy, Scott Arniel, who until maybe a month ago, I didn't really know he was the head coach of the Jets, just to be honest.
Jackson found him to be the 5th most attractive head coach in the NHL. Of course, Lindy Ruff, Jackson ranked number 1.
Yep. Leaving out Martin St. Louis is just a big mess up on my part.
Could we get a fan cheer maybe where they all at the same time and together yell, "Watch your hands, Buster"?
I like that.
Maybe that would shake up the
That
Jets.
seems like a call and response one. Like one half of the stadium says, "Watch your hands," and everyone else yells, "Buster."
Yeah, kind of like an MIZ.
Yeah, big time.
Good morning. The redneck populism after a playoff loss is a real treat. That's from Long Tom, Doug.
Stop it,
The
Long.
redneck populism.
What's that supposed to mean?
A long time you're going to have to call in to explain. 314-974-0101 from the 618. I still think we're playing with house money. We're a very young team with a window opening. That is from the 618. As we heard from Jim Toth, our guest from Winnipeg yesterday, last night was considered to be the most important game in the Jets, as they call it, Jets 2.0 franchise history. And to their credit, they played a great game. To Hellebuck's credit, he had a huge save, and it came when the Blues were shorthanded. Connor Hellebuck was great last night. Now, I think the Blues' second goal was one that, as they would say, Doug, he'd like to have back.
Yes.
Others would just say, well, it was soft, but that save could have been a momentum changer for the overall series. Jackson, I know we have some people talking about that. What do we have, Arniel here?
Yeah.
All right, Scott Arniel.
Oh, love to hear it. Hit the lever, please, Pale.
How would you describe the paddle save that Hellebuck made? Short?
Yeah, those are special. I mean, obviously changes the game probably if they goes in, but that was a big time moment that that's a game changer. It really is, and that's what we needed. He said you guys talked to him, I talked to him, and he delivered.
Okay.
He did. That was a hell of a save.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about the Sundquist shot.
Got to doff your cap.
Right.
I love the graphic on Midwest or Sportsnet, whatever we're calling it, the FanDuel network thing. They put up a graphic of where the Blues had been scoring, how they were going high. All of these goals that were going in. It was a really well done graphic. And then they said, but now they're going low. And I wonder if they just kind of said, all right, let's just kind of mix it up on him. He still only stopped 16 of 19 shots. You got to get more than 19 shots. Doug, I need you to have more than 19 shots.
Yes, I agree. They passed up some shots.
And for the record, for everybody who watched the entirety of the game, Winnipeg changed their strategy once they were up 2 goals, and they kind of laid back, and that's where the Blues got some of those shots to perhaps give an illusion of the shots disparity not being as bad as it actually was. Winnipeg talked about this following Game 4. That is a team that if they get up 2 goals, and I believe minus the empty netter at the end of Game 1, when they got up 2 goals in the second period, that was the first time they'd been up 2 goals in this entire series. That is so deadly with this Winnipeg Jets team. It is so deadly. And it, fortunately, from the Blues standpoint, it works to the Blues and whoever plays Winnipeg's advantage on the other side of things. It's just not a team whose style lends itself to big comebacks. And so once they got that 2-goal lead in the latter portions of a dominating second period, and they also had dominated the second half of the first period, I'm thinking, boy, this is going to be awfully difficult. Something material is going to have to change real quickly, and I don't know if the Blues have it in them tonight for it to happen. That is Winnipeg's strength. That's why when they got up 1-0 in St. Louis on Sunday afternoon, I was thinking, man, if they had to go up 2-0, the Blues might be fighting for their lives in an elimination game on Wednesday in Winnipeg. But to the Blues' credit, they got that equalizer at the end of the first period with Neighbors' goal. And then were able to jump out ahead. And once they go up 3-1 on the Jets, you're going, that's going to be really tough for this Winnipeg team because their strength is clogging that neutral zone and making teams have to battle to get in there and get shots on Hellebuck. That's a monster part of their success. They were able to execute it again last night, kind of in a similar way that they were able to do it in the third period of what was a game they were chasing and eventually tied in game one in the third period. This is where I am on it. And hey, maybe I'll be wrong, but number one, Scheifele, I would be surprised if you see him skating for Winnipeg tomorrow night. The days of the 2 days off in between are over. This thing now finishes with a rush. You're back at it tomorrow night. You're in St. Louis. I do believe that the mindset of the Blues from the outset has been, we're going up against the best team, at least in the regular season, no matter what, a team that legitimately has cup aspirations. That was not what the Blues mindset was going in. I think that frees somebody up, and I think that will allow the Blues to go absolute balls to the wall tomorrow night. And if they go down, I do not think they're going down without a fight. I think tomorrow night's game is going to be either a big Blues win or an absolute battle. And if Winnipeg extinguishes the Blues season, tip your cap. It's been a hell of a series, an absolute beauty of a series. And on a Friday night, 7 o'clock in downtown St. Louis, with the Blues in the mindset that they've been in, essentially fighting for their lives anyway for the last 2 months just to get into the postseason, I'd be shocked. And maybe it'll happen, but I'd be shocked if the Blues don't go out without sending a monster message. That's what I expect from this team. And I think from that standpoint, if you're a fan, you're in for some entertainment tomorrow night in St. Louis.
Yeah, I think if it's late in the game and the Blues are going to lose, keep an eye on Stanley. Where is he and what happens to him? Whether that's right or wrong, I think there is some redneck populism that goes on this time.
Redneck populism, Doug.
And I am here for it. I'm all in. Mm-hmm. This is the time of year where you start to hate that. At the beginning of the series, you don't have any opinion of Scott Arniel. He played the game. It's great. You have no – even Logan Stanley, he's a big kid. Okay, now we don't like any of them.
Right.
Ship them back to Manitoba in body bags, Doug.
Oh.
Except for they got to play Game 7.
Yeah. This series has been so physical. I don't know that you could play this way if you were to continue all the way through 4 rounds of playoffs. We've already seen Kyrou shaken up, doesn't look like the same guy. They've lost Scheifele. Tucker got hurt. He's out now.
Thomas wasn't right, carrying over from the final regular season game against Utah.
Yeah, I'm not sure either one of these teams could survive through 4 rounds if they continue to play this physically. You just can't afford to lose your top players like this and expect to beat the other top teams. And yet, when one side is as physical as the Blues have been, the Jets have to answer that, and vice versa.
Doug, you're getting a gift here from the Warson Woods Wacko. Okay. Doug, what is your email address for me to send these Battlehawks tickets for Friday night? Holy crap.
Battlehawks play Friday night here?
Oh, God, dang it. Pregame, 6:30.
Oh, are you going to do a pregame show tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, a lot of it's what we like to say in the can. I'll be at Lay's Note tomorrow, but we've got a terrific show. My colleague, Kevin Ryans, will be hosting. Big opportunity for Kevin to host.
Is that right?
While I'm at the hockey game.
Did they tell you to host and you said no thank you?
Well, there's a lot of logistics behind the scenes of why it played out. There actually are. But Battlehawks play Arlington. Jackson, with your Lee's Recipe Chicken, that game is a rematch from a couple of weeks ago when Bobby Stoops stuck it to your Battlehawks. Rematch, 7 o'clock, Doug, at the Dome.
It is Friday night.
Cardinals, I don't know if it's a 7:10 or a 7:15. You got Juan Soto and Lindor and Doc Gooden in town all at once. Doc's not pitching. And then the Blues. It's unbelievable. They all are starting.
That's why it's a sundress special.
By the way, last night's puck drop, 53-30. You guys cashed in on the over.
The over ships.
53-30.
Well, I stayed up for the whole thing. You did too?
Yeah.
Did you watch the whole thing?
When the
Lakers.
empty net with 3 minutes left, I switched over to the Laker game.
Watch it to the end, please.
They're up 3 goals.
But we came back and got one of those back.
Yeah. Walker got another. Walksy.
Still down 2.
Got another.
I'm surprised to hear that.
I botched a load of laundry, and so I kind of had to stay up later.
Now we have the... How did you not tell us this
in the world?
At 7:01?
I forgot to put a Tide Pod in, and so it was just water that was washing my clothes. And I would have been fine, but it kind of didn't have the smell I want, so I redid the laundry.
What do you like, that downy freshness?
I use Tide Pods, so like it's the one with I think it has some downy in there. Oh, it smells great.
It used to be, back when I was about your age, I don't know if laundry detergent is better now, but if you didn't separate all the colors and you put something red in with something white, everything would be pink.
I've always saw that in like cartoons and TV shows. That's never been a thing.
No,
I've never had to worry about that.
I haven't seen it in 20 years, but boy, I wore some pink underwear at Mizzou.
Ooh, there we go.
That off.
Made me feel pretty.
You can't watch Game 7, Jackie. That's from Chairman Steve in Wildwood.
Can I watch Game 6?
Chairman Steve, can you tell me that? Now you're going to be at the Lake of the Ozarks for Game 6.
Yeah, and all my
What
buddies,
are you boys going to be doing?
All my buddies are going to want to watch the game.
All right.
So I'm going to watch the game, regardless of what Steve in Wildwood wants me to do.
Chairman
2023 listener of the year.
Chairman Steve needs to know that Jackson's already on to Game 7. He's moving on.
Yeah, clearly looking forward. We got to win Game 6, baby. You think there's going to be some retaliation on Shen? You think they're going to
can't get too carried away?
I think they'll both play to win for a while, unless the game gets out of hand.
Then they'll
if
look
it's
for
too
him.
close, you can't take a penalty. It's going to cost your team.
Especially on the road like that. That would probably get the boys going for the Blue Note.
Was it beyond predictable that after Arniel's bitch session going into the second period that the Jets would get an early power play? That struck me as if there was a market for me to bet that, I would have been placing some action.
The human nature of refereeing is hockey, yes, college basketball, and the ref's literally standing next to him. Literally walking down the court in his ear, and then about a minute later, like, that's a block. They almost always fold once the coach gets in their ear. Can't wait, though. This is going to be up too. And I think Battlehawks will still have high 20s. Their crowd goes.
Don't you think you should be there for your station special?
I agree. Thank you, Doug.
Well, I feel like the network has really got this under control. It's a network vehicle, and then Cards, Mets.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tougher sell. Battlehawks, again, they only have 6 home games. Their fans are, the ones that go are into it. They're diehards. And I'm a big fan.
Populism? Is that a thing?
There might be some redneck populism over there. Yeah. Maybe some elitist apathy over at Clark.
Elitist apathy.
That might be taking place, countering the redneck populism.
Let's see what's doing in this Michelob Ultra YouTube chat where 281 friends of the Feather have gathered in the 7 o'clock hour to talk it over. Michelob Ultra sponsor at youtube.com/TMASTL. Is that a crown behind Martin? I need papers to wear it. That's from Chris Mack. Martin, you have a crown?
Yeah, there's a crown.
There's been a crown back here for a while. There's the conductor hat. And then there's a crown.
Papers, you want to wear the crown?
I don't know if I'm deserving,
Well, you were all over the T-Wolves.
I was, yeah. Lakers have no size. But I don't think that's crown worthy. Not to mention I'm still waiting to get knighted, so I'm going to wait for the real deal.
Wow. Will LeBron retire? Is it time for Bronny to take the reign from his father? Will the crown be passed in L.A.?
We'll be joined by Jeremy Rutherford. It says it's flight dependent in the Stiefel dossier.
Fingers crossed.
Well, by now, can we confirm whether
you would
he
think.
is?
He's in the air. We're at the mercy of the bird,
Well,
brother.
he's already on his way back to St. Louis?
He's got to stop in Minneapolis. And so in the layover between the Minneapolis flight and St. Louis, which is a tight window.
I would say the Winnipeg to Minneapolis flight has to be pretty brief.
Yeah. He took off before the show started because I was hoping to get him on right at the get-go. But so we're at the mercy of the bird. There's not much else I can say on that.
That's scheduled at 8:20. We know Bernie Federko's in St. Louis. He was on the post-game show last night and pregame show and intermission. Hell, I don't know. He was on. So he's Martin at 9:40. Adam Wainwright, 9 o'clock. Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today. Coming your way at 10:45. Imagine being so inbred that you have to watch the Battlehawks over a Blues Game 6. That's from Mr. Side. That's a byproduct of sleeping with your cousin?
I wouldn't think so.
That's what Mr. Siders says, and Jackson spent an afternoon with him on the golf course where Mr. Siders was stunned by Jackson's 7-iron distance.
It's true. We didn't really talk much incest.
Oh, it doesn't usually come up, does it? At least not in polite society.
Talk much incense.
That
incense. Or incense.
Jackson, Tiger Warrison Woods, Doug. You want to take a look at this in the text inbox?
Lord.
How many times he has...
Okay, blocking. Okay, blocking.
I mean, it's crazy.
He wants his name updated in the text inbox. I think he's sent... I don't know what the number is. It just is...
Well, it's really funny because he keeps asking, and then in the middle of... in between the 14th and 15th ask, he goes, do the Cardinals have the lowest attendance?
Of the three, Martin, what do you think? Now, the Blues can only fit so many people in the building.
I think the Mets are a draw, and people may have bought tickets in advance. And there are some Cardinal fans who don't give a rip about hockey.
And there are many Cardinal fans who come from places far away that have this scheduled with the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think sold tickets, Cardinals may be number one. In the house, I think they'll have more people in the house than the Blues. I think they'll have low 20s maybe at Busch, I think. Because of the Mets weekend series. What's the giveaway, Jackie?
Ooh, let's find out. Cardinal giveaway.
Yeah.
Giveaway schedule. I got it for you right now.
That's pretty quick.
Shout out to the promotions.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen this on the on Instagram and TikTok. It's a Cardinals reversible bucket hat. They've been doing the Michael Ciani.
Doug Dotem wears bucket hats to the Dotem.
Victor Scott and Mike Ciani have been doing like this Instagram video for the last week that I've seen about this. And you know what? Pretty sharp bucket hat. It's City Connect inspired. Yeah.
Do you wear a lot of bucket hats yourself?
Only because I have so few of them. If actually I have none. So, yeah, I would.
Okay.
Oh, also, then if you get a theme ticket, you get a Grateful Dead jacket as well. My brother was really interested in getting one of those. It's pretty sweet.
Is it Jake's leg playing? Is that tomorrow? Doc Gooden will be there. The Mets. Battlehawks, though, to me, Doug, is the lead on Fox.
But you're not going to be there.
Well, I know. I regret that I'm not going to be able to be. I'm actually going to be at the walkthrough today, Doug, acquiring some interviews in advance so we can kind of work ahead. Maybe put a few things in the can so that Friday can free me up a little bit.
A lot of things going in the can.
Kind of to free me up for a little bit of hockey on Friday.
The Battlehawks have a walkthrough?
Yeah, Doug. Of course.
I would have thought they'd showed up on the plane that morning, played that afternoon, and head on back to Texas.
The game is flight dependent.
Scissor Me Timbers is appalled. This guy hits a 7-iron, 138 yards.
No.
138 yards? That's from Scissor Me Timbers.
Two things. One, I did see on either Golf Digest or some golf Instagram account say that's the average 7-iron distance for American men. Second, I hit it further than that. And then also, on Sunday, the Cardinals giveaway. You like this, Doug? It's titled the Cardinals Stuff Bag.
Stuff?
Yeah, Cardinals.
What kind of stuff?
Stuff bag. It looks like what you used to put your mechanical pencils and erasers in middle school. It's like a little toiletry bag.
Pouch?
But it's called the Cardinals Stuff Bag.
Okay.
Boiled food adjacent.
Could be something that a fella could actually use.
It feels like they gave up trying with the naming. What's it called? It's a stuff bag. That's it?
That's what I like about it.
Okay. Well, maybe the Cardinals will outdraw both of them. I think they probably will.
I think the Battlehawks, I believe.
It's hard to get a Blues ticket at this point, I think, unless you're really going to pay.
You're taking that. That's your action.
I think I'm going to say the Cardinals have the biggest crowd.
I think the Battlehawks will edge them out. They got a loyal group there that's going to be there. And I don't know if there's a ton of crossover. I think some Battlehawks fans would go to Blues games, but those tickets right now, I think there's no chance you're getting in.
Yeah, I was taking a look at it's about $200 to get into the building tomorrow night, Madden. About $200 to get into the building. You want to sit down low, you're going to be cutting a check for 4 figures, assuming you're cutting checks in 2025.
It's more than 1,000?
Well, no, I should say if you wanted to bring a guest and assuming you're not going by yourself, like our friend Alec Ford, who was shown last night.
I love the fact they featured him.
Yes, indeed.
I sent you guys a screenshot.
Yes.
Early in the game, Tim Paps sent me from the production truck one of their cameras just kind of figuring out where he was seated. And it was a stark contrast, the old retro red in the middle of the Winnipeg white. Good for him.
The first shot they had of him, someone stood right in front of him on the camera shot. You notice that? Then they cut back to the action. Then they went back to him so we could get a better shot of him.
There'll be more Battlehawks fans in either one. It won't even be close. That's from Steven time, Martin, and he's on your Mount Rushmore of least favorite texters.
I've lost track.
You can text
There's
in
so many.
314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line, Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, and of course you can call in like Ron did with a hit and run, 314-974-0101. Jeremy Rutherford at 8:20, Adam Wainwright 9 o'clock, Bernie Federko 9:40, and of course you can email in for our Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. The show's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. Brown and Crouppen is online at brownandcrouppen.com, or you can call them at 314-222-2222. Terry Crouppen, Andy Crouppen, and Ed Herman, who is in studio with us. Thrilled to be able to talk to one of his childhood heroes, Dwight Gooden, when he joined us on Tuesday. Brown and Crouppen is local. Founded in St. Louis in 1979, and they are committed to the St. Louis area. And if you're in a spot where you need a personal injury attorney, wouldn't one of the qualifications you want is somebody who is local and somebody who knows the market and the legal environment? That is Brown and Crouppen. Online at brownandcrouppen.com, 314-222-2222. It's Brown and Crouppen. Remember, the choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. We will take a commercial break as we go into the Fisher Window and Door Store 8 o'clock hour. It's TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.
In the market for a new car, check out autoloanpro.com. Regardless of your situation or if you've had any hiccups with your credit report, they're going to work hard to get you into the best vehicle possible, also to get you the best rate possible. Auto Loan Pro works with over 50 different lenders. When you're looking for a car, looking for the best financing, there's only one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro. Great website, autoloanpro.com, and scroll down. You'll see Robert Thomas, who supports the program as well, and then find the free playbook. Towards the bottom of that website, the playbook that you'll want to download is going to explain to you the credit industry, how it all works, and how maybe the next time around you can get this car or that car. Download the free playbook, find out more, get the best rates possible. The Auto Loan Pro is going to help you get into your next vehicle. Real simple. Online, autoloanpro.com. Auto Loan Pro is part of the Lita family.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues lose last night, but they'll be back in action in St. Louis tomorrow night, Game 6, a big Game 6 right here on 101 ESPN. The pregame will start right about 6 p.m. Puck drops right around 7. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
It is the morning after. 101 ESPN, 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Fisher Window and Door Store. Jeremy Rutherford joining us here in about 10 minutes as he makes his way back from Winnipeg to St. Louis for what Jackson Burkett just said is a big Game 6.
I picked up on that.
It was tough to deny.
Oh, Doug is trying to deny it, though.
Yeah, I know.
Martin, is there ever a Game 6 that's not big?
Boy, that's a great question. Because the nature of that, if
somebody is staring into the eyes of their maker,
you cannot have a Game 6 without it being 3-2.
Jordan, Game 6. Right. Ball so hard, got a broke clock.
Rollies don't TikTok.
David Freese, Monday Night Miracle. I like me a Game 6. Edmonds,
Ray Allen,
walk off.
Yeah, Shuttlesworth, 2013.
Wow. So when you said in the update, "Hey, it's a big game," I think you're accurate. You're right.
Tough to deny.
I might buy you a thesaurus, but I think you're right.
It's a nice bit of journalism on your part.
Look at that, Jackson. We're lifting you up before you go to the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, it feels great.
After the botched laundry, it's going to be a tough weekend to recover.
When you get to the Ozarks, will you buy any fudge?
Doubtful.
That's a nice question also.
Doubtful. I'm not against them. I'm a fan of fudge.
Are you?
Yeah,
Flip
sure.
that off.
Yeah, it's delicious. It seems like it might be the worst thing to eat for like your nutrition
and teeth.
Yeah.
Well, here's the nutrition Nazi to my left. Doug, is it the worst thing you could eat?
It's be right up there.
You always say chicken wings, actually, Art. Isn't that what you say?
Well,
for the
chicken wings are something that people actually do eat. I don't know how many fudge eaters are out there.
Clip that off.
Call in, fudge eaters.
314-974-0101. That is how you can call in. Ron did a hit and run. Martin, you like the hit and run.
I do. I enjoy that. Like, Pestis sometimes has, like, pages of material to get to.
The whole.
Love them. But caller Ron just had a sentence or two, and he gone. And he's mad. Mad at Cairo, and we're not going to debate it. Okay, here's my point. I'm out of here. So call in. We're going to shot clock going, Jackie, on these calls. Let's rapid fire some calls before JR lands in the Twin Cities.
That's where he is on his way back to St. Louis for what has been called by the morning after's Jackson Burkett a big Game 6. What a night it'll be in downtown St. Louis, the Sundress Showdown Special in the Gateway City. Blues and Jets, 7 p.m. start. And then, of course, the Cardinals and Mets and the Battlehawks and Arlington renew that rivalry. Doug, how do you do?
Well, I'm fine, but I'll be watching the Blues with apologies to the Cardinals and the Battlehawks proper.
We at least keep up with what's going on in those other two games?
I might glance every now and then.
Just Don't Press Push says, what do you guys make of the Winnipeg fans trying to start a chant of Jordan? My honest reaction was the following. That was cute. It's like...
What do you think Bennington thought? That was cute.
Right. It's just like, it doesn't, It
doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. This guy is unfazed. He is mentally as tough as it gets. Your guy is sick in the regular season and has like a 81% save percentage in his career in the postseason. It's a little different program, but hey, whatever entertains people. God bless America, Doug. Some people like some things. Some people don't like other things. Mm-hmm. On the St. Louis side of things, I thought the FanDuel Sports Midwest cameras could have left out the shot of that pony show that was going on at Ballpark Village after Blues goals. So one for me, one for them, one for me, one for them. That was Entourage, Jackson. Am I correct? Vincent Chase?
Yeah, Medellin, Doug.
Aquaman, Medellin.
Okay. Should have been one
the
for
Ballpark
nobody.
Village. You get a more lively atmosphere in my basement.
Oh, I'm sure they have a permanent camera there. They think, what the heck?
Set up a permanent camera in my basement.
I guarantee it's mandated.
See a lot of The Stranger.
Like one of those, like at the zoo when they have like a baby giraffe.
That's right.
It doesn't quite equal that vibe of the whiteout crowd outside the building in Winnipeg with, thousands and thousands of people.
It might actually be kind of interesting for them to set up cameras with different fans every night just to see, how 2 or 3 guys are watching the game and how they react.
Yeah, two cute guys.
That'd kind of be a different twist.
I would like to see a camera at like a dive bar off Morganford where they're all wearing their old school. I'm serious. Like,
I agree with that. Give me that.
Yeah, like pounding bush beers.
Yes.
Screaming at the TV. And they
guys yelling at each other.
And they're wearing their old Herb Ragland sweaters. I mean, I would get a kick out of that. The wide shot, and I know it's FanDuel is kind of a sponsor of Ballpark Village. It's
Camera's already set up.
It's tied together, yes.
No, I understand the reason.
But it doesn't do anything for you as a viewer.
But the Blues have a goal, and of course the viewers, 99% of them are thrilled to see it, and then they cut away to that.
It would be a fun place to go and watch it if you didn't have tickets and it wasn't, midnight on a school night.
11:30.
Like Friday night,
I think
it'd be a pretty good place to watch it. Yeah. But they'll probably be showing the Cardinals.
Actually, Ballpark Village would be a good hub because you're right in the middle of all three, taking it all in.
Martin, how about this from Big Walt's Missing Teeth? Can we get a Geyer in live cam? I'm all for the Geyer in live cam.
It'd be a little cozy. Jimmy Campbell's soup might be behind the bar. I like that. They don't serve food, Tim, but you can bring it, I think.
And sometimes when I'm driving past it, they got a little burger stand out there. Ooh. I got to stop and get one of those. I hear good things about the burger stand out there, kind of like the one they had at the Stag Bars in the parking lot at 3 in the morning. That guy made one of the best burgers going. I haven't been to the Stag Bar in a while, Doug, but man, did he make a nice burger.
Did he?
Yeah.
But at 2 or 3 in the morning and you're drunk, almost any burger would taste pretty good, wouldn't it? I mean, people stop at White Castle, for heaven's sakes.
Frank said to me once, Marty, have you ever had a bad cheeseburger? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe
I guess
cafeteria,
like
the hospital
pulled a
or
hair
something.
out of it, I suppose. But
like a shrub?
as far as
It's dried out.
I don't know if it was a shrub or not, because once it happened, I started doing the Larry David thing where Jeremy Rutherford is going to join us. We'll talk shrubs with him. He is going to join us coming up at 8:20.
I just got a text.
Yes!
I got a text. Right. He's landed. He's going to call here in a couple minutes.
Outstanding.
Told the
Doug,
pilot, bring this bird down.
Yes, I got to call in to TMA, and that's what Jeremy Rutherford's going to do. I'm sure some of you have questions for Jeremy Rutherford. Text him in, or you can post him in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. Doug, you want to talk about Mark Milton, I believe, because he's online as the STLTaxLawyer.com.
Right. He is the IRS penalty killer, which you might need here during the playoffs. You got any kind of problem with the IRS, Mark Milton is the guy that you need to know. He is the STL tax lawyer. If you have maybe unfiled tax returns or tax liens, bank levies, wage garnishments bothering you, this is serious legal stuff. And Mark Milton is a serious guy who can work with you, as he's done for many years now. He started his legal career with the Department of Justice Tax Division in Washington, D.C., where he represented the IRS in tax cases throughout the country and received the DOJ's Outstanding Trial Attorney Award. So this guy knows his stuff. He's the best in the business around these parts anyway. Mark now helps individuals and small businesses solve their tax problems. So if you have any kind of IRS problems, contact Mark Milton at STLTaxLawyer.com today, and you'll be saying, I'm not guilty, I am with Milty. Remember, the choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Jeremy Rutherford next here on TMA. This is 101 ESPN. Watch it on YouTube.com/TMASTL.
Well, TMA sponsors have always gone out of their way to make themselves super accessible to the TMA audience, and Stewie is no different, but he gives out his personal cell phone at 314-324-4440 if you are interested in working with him and buying a home or a refinance. And he joins us right now to give us his perspective on some secrets of the trade. What do we have here, Stewie?
Tim, it's so important to go with somebody that knows the business and knows the guidelines. We had a customer that was shopping around, came over to us, TMA listener, and said, hey, this is the rate I'm getting from everybody else. Can you beat it? Well, what everybody else didn't know that I knew is that we do the loan just in the husband's name. His credit score was higher. His income was lower. They would get 0.5% better on the rate. And the guy said to me, oh, you can do that? Yes, both people will remain on title, one person only on the loan. And that's what we're doing, and he's saving an additional $200 a month on the payment.
How about that? Well, it's great to hear TMA listeners supporting the sponsors, and Stewie taking care of the TMA listeners. Call him on his personal cell phone directly, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the Bagel. Thanks, Stewie.
Have a great day, guys.
It's the morning after 101 ESPN. The show is presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, and it is our pleasure to welcome to the Callier and Thompson phone lines here on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. En route back to St. Louis from Winnipeg, currently in the Minneapolis airport, Doug. Look, it's Jeremy Rutherford joining us. Morning, JR.
Hello, Ruthsy.
Morning, guys. Morning.
So the flight 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. From Winnipeg to Minneapolis?
6:40. I think I had the boarding time I gave.
Got it.
Jackson.
I was about to say a 2-hour flight from Winnipeg to Minneapolis. But I thought Jim Montgomery was quick to kind of go Belichickian last night and say we're moving on to Game 6. You guys were attempting to ask questions, and he wanted to move on. But it is our responsibility here to talk about what took place in Game 5. What do you see that led to Winnipeg's pretty decisive victory last night?
Yeah, Tim, I thought it was going to take at least question 2 or question 3 before we got to the let's move on, but it was question number 1 from Jim Montgomery. So I think it was a situation where the game was there and the Blues were off. I felt like they had some offensive opportunities, even though there weren't a ton of shots, just 19. But you had the Oscar Sundqvist 2-on-1 he gets from Nathan Walker. He says in the locker room 9 out of 10 times, I bury that one. I think that Jimmy Snuggerud makes a heads-up pass over to Colton Parayko right there, wide open ice, and just takes his time to kind of get rid of it. And so I think there were some offensive opportunities. And against a goaltender who's been chased twice back-to-back games, I think whatever you can get on net, you have to do it. The Blues didn't do that. But that's not to say that they put those shots on. They could have won. They certainly weren't at their best last night. But all in all, a game that could have had. And I felt like Winnipeg stepped up and showed that it wanted it more.
I think Hellebuyck felt like kind of the X factor in that game. He didn't know which way he might go, but he was pretty good, wasn't he?
Yeah, especially that save on Sundqvist there. He lunges out and kind of gets the paddle on that one. But, that said, that Snuggerud goal wasn't a great goal for Connor Hellebuyck to give up. And at that point, I think the Blues had 2 goals on 9 shots. So it just kind of shows you. I think I had a stat in the article today, the 3 losses. The Blues have 19 and a half shots on net. Their 2 wins, they've had 26 shots on net. So, it's obvious math, but especially with this goaltender, you put shots on net, you have a chance.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I mean, he gave up 3 goals on 19 shots. You get that up to closer to 30 shots, you might have 4 or 5 goals. I think he's still very capable of laying an egg on Friday night. I mean, and then all of a sudden, it's the same conversation. I felt the tone from the Blues players. And you were there, was just kind of like, hey, whatever. We'll go home and win, and then we'll come back here and give it a shot in games. Like, it didn't seem to have any I'm sure they're disappointed, but I almost felt like they expected it. Like, oh, Winnipeg plays great at home. What are you going to do?
Yeah, Marty, I think that, led by Braden Shen, that's kind of always going to be his tone, that we're going to put it past us and move forward. He said that. Justin Falk said that. They all said that. And I really do think that based on what happened after Game 2, they went back to St. Louis for Game 3, and look what they did. They were absolutely dominant. 14 in a row now, they've won at home. I don't think there's any thought that they can't come home and win this game and push a Game 7. I just think it's disappointing that you go to Winnipeg, you got accustomed to the environment in games 1 and 2. You go back there, and then what are you talking about afterwards? You're saying that we didn't get to our game. Why didn't you get to your game? I really think, like I said a second ago, I know it's cliche, Winnipeg wanted it. I think they rose to the occasion with all the pressure that's on them. That's what we've been talking about for 2 months. If they play Winnipeg, there's going to be a ton of pressure on that Jets team. You guys heard it. They said that this is the biggest game in Jets history. This is a game that's going to make or break it. And even when Scheifele goes out, what do the rest of those guys do? They went out and grabbed that win last night. So, yeah, you can come back home and force Game 7, but you had an opportunity last night.
Jeremy Rutherford, our guest here on 101 ESPN, and Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you on the morning after shows presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, and you can watch it at youtube.com/TMASTL. Any questions you have for JR, don't hesitate to post them in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat or by texting in 314-399-9646. JR, I know you were there, and I know you're flying back, but Jim Montgomery's comments at the end of his brief
media session were answered by Scott Arniel. For the listeners who have been listening since the outset of the program, you may have heard this. I want to make sure you hear it, JR, and give your thoughts on both what Montgomery had to say and Arniel had to say. And the audience can get a chance to hear this because this is certainly going to be one of the focal points going into Game 6, as Montgomery talked about Schen's hit on Scheifele, and Arniel was clearly pissed about not only the hit, but what Montgomery had to say. First, we start with Jim Montgomery's comments.
And let's make it clear. 55 got hurt from the Faxa hit. He played 6 minutes after the Shen hit. He didn't come back after he got rocked by Faxa.
And then Scott Arniel, a few minutes later, addressed the media. Here is what he had to say in response.
What were your thoughts on the Shen hit?
Well, I didn't know Monty got his medical degree. I'm trying to say how our player got hurt. He's way off base. Should not make that comment. There's some things that have been going on in this series, and that was a repeat of what we've seen before. A player leaving his feet and then hitting a player in a very unprotected spot, like hitting them in the sense almost blindsiding them. Not happy how the call was made. 2-minute minor. Not even looking at it is what I was upset about. And it is something that we have talked to the league about for 5 games.
So we got 2 things from that. Well, we got 3 things. We got the coaches going back and forth, or at least Arniel going back at Montgomery. Secondly, you got Scheifele's status. Didn't play in the second and third period. Questionable for tomorrow night's festivities. One would think that hasn't been said by the Jets. I should make that clear. That's my observation. And then finally, you've got Montgomery politicking with regard to Shen and potentially the NHL player safety, making an analysis on that play, and Arniel trying to set a tone to maybe limit the Blues' physicality for Game 6 and, if necessary, Game 7. Your thoughts, JR?
Yeah, first of all, I'm just glad that we finally got to this with the coaches. These guys were being friends too long to get to the point where now we got some juice for the reporters to put in their stories. I thought it was interesting. We just asked Jim Montgomery about the hit, and then he said, let's be clear on that. You guys heard that clip. And then after that, the St. Louis media, we head upstairs and start to work on our stories because the Winnipeg reporters are going to supply those quotes to us. And then so when they came up and they tell us what Scott Arniel said, like, whoa, okay, we do have some back and forth on this one. In terms of the Shen hit, I understand what Jim Montgomery's saying is that Scheifele stayed out there another 6 minutes. You know, all support to Jim Montgomery, but you don't know what hits are going to do what damage to a guy. You know, maybe it's lingering and then the Faxa hit adds to it. I do think that Braden Shen left his feet. Am I saying that's a charge? No. Do I think there should be supplemental discipline? No, I don't think so. But definitely after the Faxa hit, you know, he goes out and misses the rest of the period. When I say this, I'm not reporting this whatsoever, but we were standing outside a locker, you know, not far from the locker rooms, and a gentleman said, well, he's out for the series. I'm looking for a medical badge on this guy. Does it say Jets doctor on his badge? But, you know, you wonder about Scheifele coming back after missing the 2 periods. So, you know, I look at this situation as this series has been really, really physical, the most physical of any first-round series. I'm sure the Jets have been talking to the league about the hits. I'm sure the Blues have been talking about the hits. So I don't see anything changing. I don't see Braden Shen missing Game 6 on Friday. I think this is going to continue, and we're going to have to wait to see if we see Mark Scheifele.
It's not like the Jets haven't taken their share of cheap shots, too. They still got Logan Stanley running after Snuggerud. They stapled Kyrou right to the boards. The Jets have been hitting, too. I don't know that they can claim innocence to all this.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that's why I said, you know, that the Blues have probably been in touch, too. It happens every year. Every team, you know, calls into the league in between games. And this one, for sure, just because of the way it's been played. I don't think either side, you know, has an unfair advantage or can look at it like the league's not looking at the hits that are against them because it's gone both ways.
I feel like Texier a little quiet, Bolduc a little quiet. What can you do? Do you think there's a tweak there with your forwards?
Yeah, that's the story there, I think, coming out of this game, too, Martin, is you saw last night Scheifele goes down. Wow, Jets are going to be in some trouble. And what happens is they shuffle the deck, and a couple of their guys who have been criticized the last couple games for being invisible on the Jets side, stepped up and scored some big goals. They got some secondary scoring, and the Blues aren't getting that. And, I realize Thomas has some points in this series. Buchnevich has 3 goals, has some points. But you look at a Kyrou, -5, 2 goals. You look at that third line especially. Yeah, Bolduc, you haven't seen much of him. Sundqvist last night, can't convert on that 2-on-1 in the shorthanded. I know that's not a 5-on-5 situation, but, they haven't done anything offensively. So will he change up the lines? Last night he flip-flopped, Neighbors and Kyrou. So he's done some things in game. I don't know that we'll see any changes, but if they want to get to a Game 7, they're going to have some offense from those guys that haven't produced.
Specific to Kyrou, how much is this on performance? How much is this potentially on him not being right after getting laid out early in this series, JR? Because he led the Blues plus-minus in the regular season, and now he's on the wrong side of it, leading the Blues as a -5 in this series.
It could be. To be completely honest, I have not had a conversation with him about that. I know that in the past, players, when they've been on the receiving end of a big hit like that, it can take you out of the series. It can be an eye-opener in terms of, how this is going to be played. He hasn't played a ton of playoff hockey. He did have the breakaway that Hellebuyck denied a couple games ago. So he has created some chances, but just not much offense there. And you got to believe, if he were hand to the fire having this conversation with us, might not admit it, but I think after a big hit like that with Stanley, it's just, how do I get back in my groove? How do I play the way that I've played the entire regular season? But to me, you see him like last night, 6-on-5, coughing up the puck behind the net. We've seen that so many times the past couple of years. That's the stuff that he has to avoid. If he's not producing, you can't have the turnover like we saw there.
So what kind of game would you expect from the Blues tomorrow night? I know they want to be physical, but you have to be careful not to see your season go down the drain because you're in the penalty box.
Well, and that's the thing is, I understand the physicality in the playoffs, and I understand how they came out last night. But to me, this matchup, it's just turned into every single shift, and it's almost like players, they're going out looking for it a little bit. Sometimes you're chasing it a little bit. But like Pavel Buchnevich said, a week ago, we've still got to play hockey. You still got to play hockey. So, those offensive opportunities that I talked about earlier, you got to convert on those. You can be physical. You can lay the big hit. You can try to go toe-to-toe with these guys. But when they get the puck, they're going to bury it. The Connors, these guys, you got to do the same. And if you're not, that physicality is just going to take you so far. I just felt like so many times last night I was just watching a Royal Rumble every shift as opposed to a team that's trying to win a hockey game.
Yeah, and it felt like maybe a lack of urgency, knowing, we'll probably win at home. Well, if it goes 7, then all the pressure's on them. I just feel like that's somewhere in the back of their minds, like, you want to win this game, but we'll be fine. And it just didn't seem to have that urgency.
Yeah, and is there a little bit of, and I'm not saying there is, but is there a little bit of, hey, however this season finishes up, however this series wraps up, this is viewed as a good season. I'm not saying the players are sitting there thinking about that. Of course they want to win this series, but I think that's where the determination comes into play between these two teams, just for where they are at with their organization right now. And the Jets are at a spot where if they lose that game last night, they're going to get run out of town, some of these guys. And so I think with the Blues' ability to say, hey, we can go home and win a game and we'll be in good shape, I think that's where it fell last night.
I would be shocked, truly shocked, if the Jets come in here and win in a convincing, dominating fashion without the Blues just going. It hasn't been the DNA of the team. Present whatever adversity you want to present. And plenty of times, I know I thought, okay, well, this is over. Sucks, but this is over. They respond. It's just who this team has been. So I'd just be really surprised if they either didn't win the game or if they do lose, they're not going out there and absolutely putting Winnipeg through it to get it done, especially on a Friday night in downtown St. Louis, Game 6. I think you've got everything you can want as a Blues fan tomorrow night.
Yeah, for sure. It's easier to respond to that adversity and that challenge if you're the Winnipeg Jets when you're on home ice, and they did that last night. And give all the credit in the world. But as I sat down last night, blinking cursor on my laptop, how do I write the story? The Blues just lost a game. Now they're heading back to St. Louis for Game 6. My first thought was I could picture the Blues going back and all of a sudden 19,000 are celebrating a win, tapping Jordan Binnington on the mask, and, hey, let's go up to Winnipeg and try to win a Game 7. That's what this Blues team has shown us all season, and I'm not, raising any pom-poms here. I'm doing the opposite. We've counted them out so many times. We said they can't make the playoffs after Four Nations, and they did. We said it'd be tough to get back into this series after being down 2-0, and they did. So I don't see how you can look at this game Friday and say they don't have a chance because they've proven otherwise all year long.
JR, I don't know, do you have time for a one-parter?
Yeah, we got some questions in here. I don't know how much time you got, but I told people we get questions. So
I just wanted to know, did you go?
Yeah, we looking down here, we're not boarding yet, so I got time.
All right, God bless.
Yeah, tell the captain you got a couple of two-parters coming up. I was just curious, did you go right to the airport? Because, I heard you in the post game, and it's midnight in Winnipeg. Did you even go to your hotel? This is important.
I think I got to the hotel at 2:30, went to bed about 3, and wake up call at 5.
Wow.
Bill.
This guy.
Bill.
Anything for the people.
Oh, Bill. All right, JR, here come the questions. Does JR think we already made a noticeable difference last night from the 3-1-4?
That what made him noticeable difference?
That the return of Velarde made a noticeable difference last night.
Oh, I think that him being out there, I don't think that he necessarily did anything that stuck out, but I think it'd just be like the Blues getting one of their top-line guys back. It'd be like getting a Dylan Holloway back, and even though, maybe he doesn't get on the board or anything like that, I think that, he does make a difference. But the biggest difference is when Scheifele left and those other guys said, hey, we're not going down like that. And I think when they got those goals in the second period, and keep in mind, Winnipeg had not had a goal in this entire series in the second period. They get 2 big ones after Snuggerud scores, and it was from those secondary guys. I think that's where the difference was.
Chances Tucker plays tomorrow from the 636?
I would say doubtful. I know Blues are saying day-to-day, it didn't look good. I was under the impression that he'd at least miss a couple games, so I don't expect him. If he plays, that would be news/surprise to me, but I guess we'll find out more in the morning.
From the 636, do you think the missed calls in the first period deflated momentum? After the first, we had no passing, puck control, or offensive urgency.
Yeah, I think there were, some questionable calls for real. Like when you talk to Sundqvist, like I said earlier, he talked about the embellishment, and that led to some momentum for the Jets when those penalties kind of offset each other, and then the Blues are in the box, and then you had the Schenn hit, and I'm still trying to figure out what the roughing on Schenn was. Like, if you want to give the interference or you want to give the charging, that's one thing, but I don't know how a guy laying on the ice getting beat up is roughing. That those are some of the calls there, and I realize they go both ways. But those were kind of questionable, and I think it did kind of change the game a little bit.
Suter looked really out of place last night. If Tucker is out for Game 6, could we see Monty go back to 11-7? That's from Tim's toothless bottom boy.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think they're just going to have to roll. If Tucker's not ready, which, again, I doubt he is, I think they're just going to have to roll with the 6 and stick by Suter. And you're right. That was you thought that Suter might be well rested after missing a couple games, but kind of some missed assignments there behind the net, he and Leddy. And then when Broberg went down a little bit, then Leddy had to go out there. I believe it was with Falk, and they gave up that fourth goal. So Leddy on the ice for 3 goals, Suter on the ice for 2. That third pair wasn't good last night.
Is Holloway traveling with the team? That's from Brett Hull's mullet.
He is not. I don't expect him to be. I think even though the Blues are saying a week-to-week situation here, this is a likely situation where we don't see Dylan Holloway. And but to answer the question specifically, I have not seen a hide or hair of Dylan Holloway on the road, or for that matter, at Centene, even when the Blues are practicing at home.
I got a 2-parter here, Doug, from Carlos Spicy, who I think is going into the TMA Hall of Fame someday. Number 1, does Coach Gruden need to show the team some Spider 2Y banana? And number 2, did Winnipeg have any special treats like us Bluesers have here, like deep-fried meat-stuffed pasta, or cake soaked in a pound of butter, or any other dish we have that causes the Provel cheese sweats? Doug, that's Carlos Spicy.
I did a little pregame, and I know you guys probably be surprised to hear that, right? But nothing too crazy. They did, they have the poutine. You guys are familiar with that. But it's amazing when you go from restaurant to restaurant, the different stuff that they put on it. It's not just always the gravy and the cheese. Everybody kind of cooks up something different. But the Jeremy who's trying to shed a few here, even during the playoffs.
Wow. Breaking news.
Well, ever since, Doug was worried about my health last week, I'm trying to turn a new leaf here.
Look at you, Doug. You're changing lives.
Yeah. Now, I see the birthday hawk says he saw you on Sports Plus looking like a dapper piece of beefsteak. Do you feel like you're at the top of your game when the playoffs roll around?
Some French fries and gravy, sir.
Hey, I would have done Channel 4. You're still there, right, Doug?
Yes,
he is.
Yes, still there. I'm back full time.
Congratulations. It's awesome. That'll be good for your
55
exposure.
hours a week now.
He had George Zolak in while you were over on Channel 5.
Yep. Let's see what else we got here. Stephen Wilder wants a calorie count for you on this trip. He's got the over-under at 8,000 calories for a 2-day trip to Winnipeg.
Well,
8,000
over 2 days.
That's a 1-day trip. This was 2 days.
So this should be around 16K. All right, that's understandable. JR, we will look forward to seeing you tomorrow night for Game 6. Blues, Jets got the 7 p.m. start. Any word on the Sunday Game 7 start?
No, is that going to be a sundress, I hope?
I would imagine a sundress in Winnipeg. Oh, what a scene. But the Blues and Jets would be the only game on Sunday as well. So I would imagine you get 7 o'clock.
6-ish, maybe?
Yeah, I think if there's a Game 7, I think it would be 7 based on that. Yeah, you should have seen the media up in the press box last night, pulling for the Capitals, pulling for the Florida Panthers, knowing that 2 wins there would make it a 7 o'clock puck drop. So we got a good one. Yeah, really. Got a good one for Friday night, and if so, maybe Sunday too.
All right, JR. Safe travels back to St. Louis, and if you have a little extra time, Doug, sometimes in the Minneapolis airport, you can run into a senator and toe tap, so it might be something to do. It's the second stall in Terminal 3.
You pay extra for that.
Second stall in Terminal 3.
I feel like
Senator Larry Craig.
Larry Craig. Yeah. We've looked him up for. Or when you land, just call back in because this show goes till 11. He's probably landing before the show's over.
Give us an update if you scored.
I think I'll be sleeping. I'll be sleeping.
Don't blame you. Thanks, JR.
All right, see you guys.
There he is. It's Jeremy Rutherford with us from the Minneapolis airport, a hotbed of toe tapping. Jackson, we got Adam Wainwright at 9 o'clock, Bernie Federko at 9:40. We'll take a commercial break. It's TMA 101 ESPN.
in the playoff light. Joe Boo's love got us on a roll.
All right, Doug, you want to hear this tomorrow night for the Sundress special?
I do.
How about this? The father of Alex Ford, Martin, who was shown last night in Winnipeg wearing his Blues red retro sweater, just texted in. Literally just texted in. Top of the text inbox, as a matter of fact. Not the best result, but thank you guys and whoever else for getting my boy on TV. That was the best part for us. We'll get him on Friday. That's from the father of the young man, 22 years old, I believe, who called into the show, said he was driving to Winnipeg, and he was shown during the third period last night on the Blues broadcast.
Probably wasn't easy to find him. He was way up there in the upper deck.
He's on hold right now.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, he is.
Chairman, you probably texted that to me.
The dad or the son?
Winnipeg Alex. You got Chairman texted it to me. Winnipeg Alex is with us right now on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. Adam Wainwright coming up at 9 o'clock. Bernie Federko, 9:40. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good, man. Are you en route back to St. Louis?
No, I actually woke up about 30 minutes ago. I'm going to shower at my buddy's house and then head down there.
I thought your buddy was in North Dakota.
He is. Well, I drove from Winnipeg last night after the game down.
Got it. How far is the drive from Winnipeg to Grand Forks, Alex?
It was about 2 hours. Not nearly as bad.
Okay, got it. So what was it like? Were they chirping you?
It was a good mix. Most of them were, just giving me props for having balls to even come up there in the first place in front of all the Jets fans. And, that little percentage of people that were chirping me. I walked up to my section and everybody booed me. That was pretty awesome.
See any other Blues fans, or were you about it?
I saw maybe 2 or 3 other Blues fans, a couple in the lower bowl.
2 or 3.
Yeah, they showed a couple together I saw, and they showed you, and that was it.
Yeah, we were a little light last night, but you could hear us still when we scored.
So what was the atmosphere like, compare and contrasted to the atmosphere in St. Louis?
I will say the whiteout it's amazing. It's something everybody has to witness, but I still think St. Louis is louder, no matter what they say.
Well, we do put about 4,000 more people in the building. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, Doug, I imagine so.
Okay.
What's the meanest thing they said to you or the harshest you were treated?
I don't think you guys want me to say that on air.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Wow.
So they really did get after you.
Did they hurt your feelings?
No, I expected it. I mean, they come to St. Louis, we do it back.
Okay.
Oh, how are you enjoying your celebrity here?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. And got to talk to Kerber yesterday, Steve Ott, Jim Montgomery. It was an awesome.
Wow, how'd that happen?
Hold on, go back.
So I got to Winnipeg pretty early. I got there like 4 o'clock, so I was just walking around the stadium, just killing time. And Steve Ott just comes walking down the stairs, and I was like, "Hey, Otter, get the boys fired up, get a W tonight." And then Chris Kerber was walking outside, and I ran outside and said hey to him. And then I went down to the tunnel to give the boys fist bumps and whatnot. And Monty came out and took a picture and looked at me. He was like, "This is awesome, isn't it?" He's a character, dude. He's a great dude.
Wow, good to hear. Not surprising to hear, but great to hear nonetheless.
But because of the result, please don't go to any more games. No offense.
No.
I hear you. I will not be.
You don't have tickets for tomorrow night?
Not currently, but who knows what's going to happen.
All right. Well, good luck. How many McDonald's stops now between Grand Forks and here?
Just that one in the morning. I don't know if you saw on TV. I thought I looked a lot less heavy than what was put on.
I got to tell you, I think you're right about that, Doug. Many of the listeners or some of the texts are already coming in as we start. There's somebody said there's no way this guy isn't 3 bills, but he looks svelte.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what, you're 22, your dad said, I think?
Yes, sir.
22. And you weren't driving a minivan filled with McDonald's bags.
Nope, I sure wasn't. I was driving my little Mercury all the way up here. 1 McDonald's bag from the very beginning.
Huh. What's the scene like as a bachelor in Winnipeg and Grand Forks?
It's a nice time. Everyone's super nice, and it's definitely want to take that trip back at some point.
Yeah, you probably didn't have time to get on Tinder anyway.
Yeah, not really. Not too much time. Okay. I was so focused on hockey, I was just ready to walk around and explore.
That's right. Okay.
Focused on hockey. Well, that's what the Blues need to be. Focused on hockey. Well, safe travels. Thanks for sharing your story with us. Are you a loyal listener?
I try to listen periodically. I usually listen to the Fast Lane, but if I'm up early, I listen to you guys also.
Early,
Welcome, welcome on board. Tip of the cap for making the trip, and safe travels back. So what do you got? Like 14 hours to drive today?
Yeah, just about.
God bless. Alex Ford, Doug, he made the trip to Winnipeg. He was sitting in that upper bowl last night in a Blues retro red sweater. He was featured on the FanDuel Sports broadcast, and he's making his way back to St. Louis. Tip of the cap to you for making the trip, man, and thanks for calling in with an update. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, boys. Go Blues.
There he is.
All right, Alex.
Doug, he's in Grand Forks now and making his way back to St. Louis, and let's get him in the building for Game 6.
Okay.
Or should we not? Because when he goes, they lose.
Well,
it was a road game, so I might have to allow for that.
That was a pretty good effort. I don't know that any fan made a better effort than he did.
He didn't do the job. It wasn't anything I did wrong. He didn't do the job.
I don't know that you can blame him.
Ron Washington sure would.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Well, that little Mercury held up all the way up there. I was worried about the car.
It was a Bobcat?
He didn't say, just a Mercury.
Wide body card. Wide body cars, those Mercuries.
Yeah.
Doug, Old G-Dub, great city. That's from the 314.
Old G-Dub, great city. Old G-Dub, great city.
Grand Forks? Was that
How would it be Dubs?
I don't know.
GWs?
I don't know. I'm trying to
Great
follow
city.
that.
Okay. I don't know what that would mean.
That, Jackson, was a real man. That's from Mr. Mudjack Mike.
Okay, ease up.
This is the porta potty guy. Don't let him fool you guys again. That's from Shrimply Pibbles, Doug. And he also sends in pictures of his wife to the text inbox.
Yeah, he does.
Yes, Grand Forks, you idiots.
Well, you said G-Dub.
Yeah, we're not the idiots.
You wrote G-Dub, and we're
alphabet.
supposed to get Grand Forks out of that? All right, block him.
You want him gone?
All right, block him.
Go to hell.
Jackson, I see there's a lot of requests for name changes from people who don't have names saved in the Air Comfort Service text inbox. That Tiger Warrison Woods has sent in whatever it is that he wants.
Not changing it to it.
You're not going to change. Now, what's the reason you're not going to change his name?
I won't say the name on the air, but I don't think it's in good taste.
Wow.
No, gosh.
Look at this
I mean,
moral
I'll
compass
talk
over
to you guys
here.
in the break about it, but I
Hit him with a tariff.
I don't think it. I don't know if I have that jurisprudence.
That'd be a good chant on Friday. Tariff.
Go back and podcast
Great.
our conversation with Jeremy Rutherford. We got Adam Wainwright coming up here in a matter of moments, and then Bernie Federko in the 9 o'clock hour. You can podcast via the Schaefer Door Company podcast app, Schaefer Door, online at SCHAEFER door.com. Call or text in at 636-782-3608. That number is set up specifically for TMA listeners. It's going to get the quickest response time if your garage door breaks. It's Schaefer Door and Jason Gosrow. They service all kinds of garage doors for both service and new installs, and they have Monday morning standby service for those doors that break over the weekend. They service commercial doors as well. So if you run a business or warehouse with big, tall doors, Schaefer's experienced in these types of jobs. Go to schaeferdoor.com or call or text 636-782-3608. Schaefer Door, CHI overhead door dealer. Adam Wainwright next, TMA 101 ESPN.
last time Waino got sideways with somebody? Who really irks you up? Because I see you're always pleasant. Even to us media dopes, you're always pretty polite. I'm trying to think, what gets you honked off?
I don't get sideways too often, honestly. I mean, in the minor leagues before I learned who I was, and when I was struggling a little bit on the field, and before I matured in my faith, there was some times I'd get sideways. But it's just always a way to. Usually, it's just a lot easier to be friendly than it is to be mean. It just takes a lot less effort to smile and wave than it does to argue and bicker about something. So it's just kind of the way I roll.
How about that? That's a lesson for our audience too, Tim. I think just for all of us, really, all of us, just to relax a little bit. Ollie was telling us a story where he likes to kind of go back and forth. If a fan's really on him, he said he'll debate them a little bit. And even after a game one time, he tried to not win the person over, but say, okay, tell me further what that theory is. How about as in the dugout? Do you ever go back and forth, even in a fun way?
Oh, sure. I mean, look, when I'm competing, I turn into a different animal, and probably the times that my managers would tell you I got sideways was when I got pulled out of a game sooner than I thought I needed to be pulled out of the game, and there was times where Schulte or Ollie or Matheny or Tony would take me out, and I'd go in after the game and I'd be like, are you kidding me? You thought the guy down there that's in the bullpen that used to be a starter but wasn't good enough to be a starter, so they moved him down there. You thought he was better than me, and those are the times that I get, worked up. And look, sometimes they were right, and sometimes they were wrong, and that's part of competing. I'll tell you this though about our manager. I know we're talking about Walt and those things, but Ollie, if you ask him, and he learned from Schulte, who learned from Kissel, and these guys are just baseball men, right? They're baseball men. They understand. Ollie has a reason that he does everything, and I always appreciated that about him. Now, you might not understand the reason, or you may not agree with the reason, but Ollie, in the same way Schulte was, Ollie, if you ask him after the game, he will tell you exactly why he made that call, and he would tell you the reason mathematically that it made sense to do it. And here's the thing about managing that's so tough. You can make all the right decisions. You can make every single right decision that gives the player the best chance to succeed and the player not succeed. And I heard Joe Madden say this one time. He's like, hey, blame the outcome, don't blame the decision. Because the decision was right. It just was a bad outcome. And that's baseball. That's sports in general and competing.
When Walt Jocketty traded for you, were you initially disappointed being a Braves guy? You were a Braves fan, right, growing up in the Georgia area?
I'll tell you, I was not just a Braves fan. I was the biggest Braves fan. I was the biggest Braves fan the world has ever seen. But also, having played in that organization, I played there for 3.5 years before I was traded. I began to understand. I was not doing things correctly like I should have. I was not being on time like I should have. I wasn't working hard like I should have. I wasn't giving them my best effort like I should have. And I got branded that way. And as the years went on, my last year there especially, I realized that I had a reputation that I did not want to be a part of my name. And getting a fresh start was the best thing that ever happened in my baseball career, especially the second part of that, especially being traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, I don't, you can do this in any scenario, right? Like in the NFL, if Tom Brady gets drafted by the Cleveland Browns when they're at their biggest height of the struggles, does Tom Brady turn that thing around? Or does he just fall in line with so many other people? Now, we know Tom Brady, the competitor, and who he is as a person. He probably does great things over there. But Cleveland's also drafted, and I'm not just picking on Cleveland. There's been a lot of teams over there that have drafted great players. Their system just wasn't as great. So Tom Brady gets into a great system with Bill Belichick in New England and has a legendary career, best ever. So, I always wonder, all right, if I get traded to the Oakland A's or someplace like that, that
maybe doesn't have the same traditional winning ways, or doesn't have the money to go out and spend on players or draft people or develop people like that. Now, Oakland's actually done a really good job of that, so that might have been a poor example. But there's teams out there. Well, if I get traded to a bad team, what's my career look like? And so I have to be very thankful and gracious to our Lord that allowed something. And then I go back to Walt and like, man, praise the Lord that Walt was the man who wanted me in that trade, and that worked out so great, because getting traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, that wasn't a downgrade for me. That was an incredible move for my baseball career. Now, although the Braves were doing great things and that was my childhood team, I would not go back and trade that for a million years to be traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. It's such a blessing to me.
Adam Wainwright with us. That's a really good perspective, really healthy perspective also, to realize that the good fortune of being a part of an organization that had the resources and the talent to really amplify your abilities. I'm curious. It really surprises me to hear you say that you were a ne'er-do-well, I guess, when you were in the Braves organization in the minor league system. What were you doing? Because it just surprises me to hear that you weren't pleased with the way you were going about things, and what turned it around.
Well, now, I mean, looking back on things, there was turning points in my career, and there was ways that I had become labeled, and they were all correct. The Braves knew me as the guy who was going to be the last person to the field. And if you asked any of my teammates from rookie ball to through high A at least, they would tell you, in double A probably too, they would tell you that I was just relying on talent. I was not working out. I wasn't running hard. I was definitely the last person there. I played golf every day, and I would show up at 4:30. You know, there's guys at the field at 1:30 in the minor leagues grinding, trying to make it, and taking advantage of every opportunity they had. And luckily, I was pitching at a level where I could kind of skate by like that. But that's not big league stuff. And the Braves knew that, and they saw that in me. And when I was traded, there was 8 guys or 7 or 8 guys, I can't remember which, in the room. And 7 of the 8. Or 6 of the 7, whichever number it was, said, trade this guy. He's never going to make it.
Wow.
So, and they were right. They were right. I had to make a change. And this, who I became was a learned skill. And this is a great thing for competitors out there to hear, is all the things I had to change. I had to take an honest evaluation of where I was and who I was as a player. And when I got traded to the Cardinals, one of the greatest things that ever happened, guy sitting next to me in the locker, Chris Carpenter. Hardest worker I've ever seen, you know. Guys sweated out a 2-liter bottle of sweat before I even show up at the field my first day. I'm like, okay, this is a guy I need to pattern myself after. And that's who I did pattern myself after, and it changed my whole career.
All that golf probably paid off later when you're a starter in the major leagues and had a few days off, though, right?
You know, if I could go back and work on my game instead of just trying to hit it as far as I possibly could all the time, it would make it a little better. But, yeah, I got to play a whole lot of rounds that was look, also, you know, there's some things that were good about it, too. I got tons of hang time with John Smoltz when I was in big league camp, and Adam LaRoche, and great players and great people. But, man, I wish I could go back and sit around and just talk shop with Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux and Smoltz more about baseball than you know, getting up and down on the 17th.
Last time we were talking, you were headed to the Masters, right? How was your Masters weekend?
Yeah, Martin. Adam, your boy Zach Johnson was on a heater to start.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Zach played a great tournament. One of the best tournaments he's had in a while there. He had his lowest round he's ever had at Augusta this year. I think he shot 66 and I think bogeyed 18 actually to shoot 66. He played such a great tournament, top 10, which gets him into a lot of other, you know, big events. It's just when you get Zach's age, he's 49 years old. it gets harder and harder to compete with these 20-year-olds. I told him, man, I'm not 49, but I know exactly what that feels like because baseball age is a little older than golf age. But now these guys come out of college and they're shooting 63, and they're hitting at 320 on average. It makes it tough for the older golfers out there. But I was so proud of him, and Brian Harmon had a great showing, and Davis Thompson, our local kid, had a great showing, and there was I think we had 3 or 4 guys in the top 20 of the Masters this year. That was fun watching them. But man, I got to watch Rory. We followed Rory for 6 or 8 holes, and followed Phil Mickelson for 2 or 3 holes, and watched him get up and down from just ridiculous, like impossible to get up and down spot. And I'm looking at Jenny going, you don't know how cool that was, because like nobody else gets up and down. Well, I got to see Phil get up and down. And that's what we know Phil for, those crazy flop shots and chip shots he does around the green. And we sat on number 4 and watched, everybody come in. Got to follow Scheifele. It was just amazing. That's such a cool place. And look, I know for me, God's country is Georgia. So, especially at Augusta National, I feel like that place particularly, just there's nothing that feels more like golf than that, and watching those guys perform at the highest level on the greatest course in the world, pretty special.
Adam, I'm curious, specific to Rory, and I want to tie this into baseball and really actually can tie it into the Blues playoff situation here as well. You saw Rory McIlroy deal with what he dealt with. I doubt he hits that ball, for example, on 13 into the water if he were out there just playing a casual round. In other words, the mental element, the stress, the challenge, the unfortunate reputation that he had gotten while he was in the quest for the career Grand Slam, and what that's like. Some guys want the ball. Some guys want to be in the final pairing. Some guys, not to say that they don't want it, but they're not as comfortable. Some guys in baseball, we certainly saw it in St. Louis with David Freese. You got the ball in 2013 in a Game 5 against the Pirates and shut them down. What about the mental element of sports? Because right now here with the Blues, the Jets goaltender, Connor Hellebuck, is incredible during the regular season, but he's struggled during the postseason, and you wonder if it's something mental. Is that something that you have dealt with, talked with, like a Bob Rotella? And what are your opinions on the mental element and what you saw Rory McIlroy be able to overcome that Sunday?
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, what Rory's done in the game is really cruel. I mean, there's only, 6 people ever to win a career Grand Slam?
Yep.
So, pretty special accomplishment, even though we thought he was going to have a career Grand Slam like his first 5 years the way he started out. It's just not that easy to win in golf. And it's the same way in baseball. It's just not that easy to win. You can make all the greatest deals ever, but you still have to be clicking at the right time and playing great baseball because somebody is, and that the Los Angeles Dodgers are a great example of this. The Dodgers made every big move there is the last 20 years, but they won the COVID year and they won this last year, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and I know, you still have to go out and make deals and give your team and your fan base and your city a great chance to win. But even if you do, the Dodgers have won 2 World Series in the last 20 whatever years, and even more than that. Like going back longer than that, 1988, right?
Yep.
1980.
Yeah, it was 88.
So I mean, from '88, the Dodgers have won 2 World Series. The New York Yankees haven't won since 2009. It's just not easy to win. It's really, really tough. And I think when you look at what Rory was going through on Sunday, you saw some of the craziest shots. What he hit on 15 around that oak tree, hooking it around, and everybody points at 13. But if you really look at that spot that he was in, objectively, yeah, it's a great layup spot. But he only had a yard or two to lay that up and make a birdie. And it was actually closer than people think to being a really good shot. Now, he just tried to be too fine with it. And you look at the moment like, oh, man, he just got nervous. But he was really only like 2 yards from having an incredible shot. And then to come back on 15 and hit that shot on 15 and then miss the putt, everybody's like, oh, he's choking. Well, look, only a couple people in the world would have hit what he hit coming in there. And so it's just not that easy. Especially at that course, those putts, if you're 1 inch offline, you got a 5-6 footer coming back, and then he missed the putt on. I think he missed the putt on 18 to go into a playoff. They're just not that easy. They're the best players in the world for a reason. You expect them to make that putt, and so you're thinking, oh, he's choking, he doesn't want it. But what he did on the first playoff hole against Justin Rose, who had already tucked in a pretty good shot, drove it right down the middle. Rory stepped up and hit it 350 down the middle, and then tucked it into 3 feet on the final shot. I mean, there was no denying that Rory was feeling it. Now, he missed a couple of putts, and he missed the chip on 13. But Rory McIlroy, thinking earned that. And Justin, I was rooting for both of them because where Justin came from to get back into that playoff was so cool. But Rory as a competitor, I was just looking at him as a competitor. Now, if he'd have missed, I'll say this honestly, if Rory would have missed that 3-footer on the first playoff hole, I'd have been all Justin Rose the rest of the time because then he wouldn't have wanted it to me. But Rory earned that victory. It was so fun. And I think it was great for golf. When Rory showed up, now I watched Rory on Thursday. I watched him walk to the tee. There's a buzz about Rory that's almost Tiger-like. And everybody, I feel like there was thousands and thousands and thousands of people at the event. And I know millions of people watching at home that were rooting for Rory because it's just good for golf when he's good.
I was thinking of this the other way. Chris Long on, played for the Rams. They just didn't have the success, but he would hang out at the Blues games or Cardinals games. Over the years, you were here for a long time. Did you become friends with any Rams players or Blues players, or how often did you mingle or intermix? Chris, also like you, was real involved in the community, trying to give back and do things. Did you know Chris or even just other Rams players over the years?
Yeah, well, I got to be great friends with several of the Blues and Rams players through the year. Our chaplain, Grant Williams, was a great friend, great Super Bowl winner with the New England Patriots, and great offensive lineman for the Rams for a while. Probably my closest friend from those guys, from any of those teams, was Alex Petrangelo. I just love Petro, man. Such a great guy, great leader, Stanley Cup champ, and what he did was just so fun to watch. And the way he led those men was just really, really, really awesome. But, through the years, there's always been guys. I'm rooting for Thomas now, man. I just love this guy. He's such a great player and good, charitable man. Jordan Bennington, number 50, obviously. I mean, there's something cool about 50, but what he's done in the biggest moments, they don't win in 19 without Jordan Bennington. I mean, is anybody arguing with me on that?
No. First 7 minutes of Game 7, a thing of beauty, Adam.
Yeah, but now Robbie Thomas is he and I are text buddies. We're going to play some golf here soon. I need 2 strokes aside from him if he's listening.
Oh, is that right?
But
wow.
I'm rooting for these Blues because being down 2-0, coming back the way they did those next 2 games, scoring all the goals they are, I'm still cheering from afar. I wish I was there because there's really nothing like that St. Louis Blues atmosphere. It is so electric.
Playoff hockey is just one of the best things you're going to find in sports, isn't it?
No doubt. And what is the man's name that used to be such a great, I think he's retired now, Doc Emmerich. One of my teammates was playing in Toronto one time, and Doc came in. They were playing Golden Tee on the machine, and they had Doc do the call on it. They said they had everybody in the whole clubhouse hanging on every shot just because of how electric he was. And so those I love those NHL commentators, man. I wish we could do baseball like that. And there he is with the pitch, and I could just get all fired up. That would be fun for me as a broadcaster, anyways. But man, playoff hockey, especially in South Georgia, when we didn't that was the only time it even comes on TV is playoff. But those commentators, I think they are part of the thing that makes it so much for the viewer at home.
Yeah, Emmerich, Blues fans lucky. The last Stanley Cup final that he called was 2019, and so the voice of that call was the great Doc Emmerich. Adam Wainwright with us here on TMA. Love talking with Adam Wainwright anytime about a wide variety of topics. Big League Bash, the benefit concert featuring Adam Wainwright and friends, July 27th at the Factory in Chesterfield. You can learn more about it at bigleagueimpact.org/bash, or just go to 101ESPN.com. Adam, always appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. July 27th. Can't wait to see everybody at the Big League Bash. We're going to raise a lot of money for people who need it. And for Big League Impact, a great charity, my charity we started in 2013. Can't wait to fill that place up, raise a lot of money for charity. We're going to put on a great show. There's going to be some great people there with us. But it's at the Factory. I can't wait to do the Factory because I haven't been in there yet. I heard it's a great place.
Yeah, very cool place. Yeah, you'll like that.
You can fill it with Adam Wainwright, 101ESPN.com, bigleagueimpact.org/bash at the Factory in Chesterfield. And that's July 27th. Adam, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Adam Wainwright with us on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. Wide-ranging conversation. Enjoyed it with Adam Wainwright. You can never go wrong with talking it over with Wainwright. Your thoughts welcome, 314-399-9646. That's how you can text into the program. Guys, man, I'll tell you, Waino was one of the first guys I wanted to get an autograph from in the early years of my Cardinal fandom. Met him at spring training when I was a little tight. Couldn't have been nicer. Had one of his hats from Pappy's. I say this is a major Cardinal fan. It doesn't get better than weekdays with Waino. Can we make this a weekly thing? Wednesdays with Waino. That's from Uncle Moose Knuckle.
Oh, the uncle.
Yeah, I think we're having him on probably about once a month. You know, he's from baseball, of course, retired, still doing his broadcasting thing. So, yeah, he pops up on the show, and we love having a conversation with him. I guess we talked with him about 3 weeks ago in advance of the Masters. Adam is an awesome human being. I'm not religious or spiritual, but I could still listen to him talk for hours. He is a very inspiring person. That's from the 636. Yeah. It's hard to imagine he was kind of a... you know, paraphrasing his words, but knucklehead, I guess, coming up, because that's just not the guy that we've ever seen, you know?
And it didn't sound like drinking or partying, but just kind of maybe arrogant with his talent.
Right, yes, that's perfect.
Like, hey, I can just show up when I feel like it. I'm so good. Don't worry about it. And just was kind of coasting a little bit. He's always said that. What he needed a wake-up call in the trade was that. And Jocketty said the Braves just would not, because he's a Georgia kid, that he said that was one he really had to, like, push and pull to get it done. And we mentioned all the trades. I did this last week, you know, McGuire, Edmonds, a lot of times I forgot to mention Wainwright, because that's a massive trade in terms of longevity and career.
But my understanding is Jocketty would not leave the room until Wainwright was included in that deal. That was, you know, the guy who came over, who people may have known about, was Jason Marquis, but the guy he wanted was Adam Wainwright, and man, our Cardinal fans grateful for that dedication to the strategy. Bernie Federko's going to...
Ray King, future texter.
Thank you. That's exactly right. And Matty Mock, grateful for that move as well.
Lost J.D. Dude, though.
Yes, and Eli Marrero, friend of the program.
True, who was often saying, "It's a little ouchy today."
Right.
He's ouchy? We noticed J.D.'s not in the lineup today, Tony. He's like, yeah, he's a little ouchy.
Yep. Other players were hurt, but when J.D. was hurt, it was a little ouchy, and I kind of think that wasn't a coincidence. Bernie Federko joining us next on the program. Looking forward to that conversation. That's coming up on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Well, fortunately, the weather has started to warm up, and fortunately, the rain is going to go away, which means you will be able to get outside and enjoy your outdoor living space. But I bet you could improve it, and if you are looking to customize and improve your outdoor living space, I have the company and the person for you to work with. That is Dan, and he is at Aesthetic
Design and Build. Dan and his team have a showroom in Chesterfield Valley, and I've been there. They walked me through all the different types of custom work that they do. They do some incredible work with custom decks. They also can build a pergola for you. If you're looking to shade your covered patio, they have retractable screens, but the custom deck work they do is really what separates them from everybody else. Go online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com to see more. You can check out the showroom in Chesterfield Valley or give Dan and his team a call at 636-532-5008 and let them know that I sent you their way. It's Aesthetic Design and Build online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com. All right, Doug, here you go.
Go Blues, go for the gold.
I know it doesn't feel good right now, but what's it going to be like when this is playing tomorrow night at about 9:40 before we head over to get our bottle service at Wheelhouse?
If they played this throughout the Enterprise Center, people would just kind of walk in feeling good with their elbows out, just kind of strutting to their seats. It created a real nice vibe.
It kind of be like a montage of driving into St. Louis. You know, if driving into St. Louis looked nice. And,
wow, what?
Well, I would say driving over, like driving 40 over the bridge over Mississippi, and you see the arch and Bush Stadium. That's cool. And this song's playing. The lights are shining bright.
But what about like driving down I-70 toward downtown?
Yeah, it's
really nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
It is. It's
Really
cool to
nice.
wrap around.
Even some of the buildings are even still occupied.
Yeah, think about that. CMA 101 ESPN, Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies, 9 o'clock hour. Bernie Federko going to join us in the next segment. Joined by Adam Wainwright in the previous segment, Jeremy Rutherford. En route to St. Louis, back from Winnipeg in the 8 o'clock hour. Go back and podcast like the Dickens. The Showdown audio is now here. Jeremy Rutherford said he and his writing cohorts were delighted by this. Following the game, Jim Montgomery on the Scheifele hit, and then we'll have the Scott Arniel response. Here you go.
And let's make it clear. 55 got hurt from the Faxa hit. He played 6 minutes after the Shen hit. He didn't come back after he got rocked by Faxa.
All right. That's him commenting on why Scheifele went away. And then about 10 minutes later, Scott Arniel, the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, addressed the media. Here's what he had to say about Montgomery's comments and the Shen hit.
What were your thoughts on the Shen hit?
Well, I didn't know Monty got his medical degree. I'm trying to say how our player got hurt. He's way off base. Should not make that comment. There's some things that have been going on in this series, and that was a repeat of what we've seen before. A player leaving his feet and then hitting a player in a very unprotected spot, like hitting them in the sense almost blindsiding them. Not happy how the call was made. 2-minute minor. Not even looking at it is what I was upset about. And it is something that we have talked to the league about for 5 games.
There it is, Scott Arniel. And so now we'll have that set up for Game 6. Am I on an island on this one? Tomorrow night, would you be surprised if Winnipeg came in here and won like 5-1 or something like that?
I would, yeah. I think the Blues will play them a lot tougher than that. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it's lopsided that way.
Feels like it'll be a little tense. Yeah, a little tight, tense game.
I think it's going to be an incredible atmosphere. And yeah, of course, it can happen. But as far as the outcomes, that's the one that I would
Usually you'd be surprised.
The less, yes.
If Winnipeg blew them out.
I was surprised, perhaps not as surprised as I would be if that were to happen, by how dominant the Blues were in Game 4. Didn't surprise me that they were dominant in Game 3. Surprised me that they were dominant, especially falling behind 1-0, that they were as dominant as they were in Game 4, and specifically in the second and third period, but the second period overall. Last night, Winnipeg winning didn't surprise me. Winnipeg could certainly win tomorrow night, but I'd be surprised if they rolled over the Blues. That's just not what we've seen from the Blues. Bernie Federko is going to give us his thoughts next. It's TMA 101 ESPN.
Welcome back to Morning After 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you on the program. And it is our pleasure to welcome to the show the great Hall of Famer Bernie Federko with us on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. Morning, Bernie.
Morning, Tim. How are you?
Wonderful. Even though we were both up late, it's always great to get your perspective, in particular on a Game 5. And Jim Montgomery summed it up pretty quickly, and he wanted to move on to Game 6 by saying we got one of their best efforts of the series, if not their best effort, and we didn't have our best, and that's why you saw what you saw last night. What was your analysis of Winnipeg's victory and why they were able to take control of that game?
Yeah, I didn't think that the Blues really gave their best shot last night. I thought that they kind of lacked some energy. They lacked that intensity that really won them games 3 and 4. I mean, I thought their intensity was way higher even in games 1 and 2. So for whatever reason was going on last night, they just didn't seem to have that game that they had in the first 4 games. So hopefully it was just whatever it is, whether it's fatigue or whatever it is, or mental anguish, hopefully that is out of their way now, and they can come back tomorrow night and get a much better effort than they did last night.
How do you get that energy? How do you build that right from the start of the game?
You know, Doug, it's just it's a mindset is all it is, and you know, sometimes I guess you have it, sometimes you don't, and I think that you know, there were some of the. I mean, I thought the fourth line played great last night. I mean, Fox's line was all over the place. They hemmed the you know, the Jets in the offensive zone a number of different times, and but other than that, there was really no sustained pressure from any of the other lines, and it's just kind of I mean, you got to give Winnipeg some credit because they did a good job, obviously checking last night, and especially after Scheifele was gone. But for whatever reason, you know, sometimes it's a mental block that the body just doesn't want to go what the mind says.
What did you think of the hit on Scheifele by Schenn? Because that became a big talking point. We've played it a bunch. Monty said it wasn't the hit that knocked him out. That was the Faxa hit. Scott Arniel seemed to disagree that Monty doesn't know what he's talking about, which I love it. Now they're kind of sniping at each other. That's the best part. But what about the hit itself?
Well, I mean, again, it's one of those. I mean, it's playoff hockey, so you're going to have hits. I mean, it was, I guess, it was a big hit. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, it was. You know, in the moment of a game, it's really kind of hard to really kind of analyze the hit, whether it was bad or it was good. I mean, it was a solid hit. Scheifele got right back up. I mean, I don't think that he really. I would agree with that. I don't think he got hurt on him, but he could have jarred something that maybe, you know, affected him later on with another hit or whatever it is. But you know, I think everybody's talking the fact that, I mean, there was, he left his feet before he made the hit, and I think that the league, once they start talking about this, it's all so that the league can look at it, and I think that's what it's all about. It was a solid hit, and but the question was you know, it was an interference. There was a penalty called on the play, and I think that's kind of why it always comes up especially when you have a penalty called on the play.
Andy Strickland and Elliot Friedman both reporting this morning that there will be no supplemental discipline coming from Game 5 of the Blues and the Jets, but certainly now we have that storyline in addition. But let's look at it from a hockey perspective here, Bernie. No Scheifele in the second and third period. To Winnipeg's credit, they got that secondary scoring that they had been looking for, and they were able to take control, in particular in the second period. But if Scheifele is out, the impact on Winnipeg and how things play out here starting tomorrow night in Game 6. Your thoughts on Scheifele and the impact on the Jets?
Well, I mean, it's certainly a negative effect on the Jets. I mean, they really rely on Scheifele and Connor. I mean, we saw at the beginning of the first couple of games, there was a reason that Winnipeg won those first 2 games. So without him in the lineup, obviously changes things a lot. I mean, especially when they just get Velarde back. I mean, that's their big line, their power play. Only 2 goals and 14 chances now. So that's something that is really going to affect them, of not having Scheifele on the power play, which has not lived up to the you know, the accolades that they had during the regular season. But you can't replace a guy like him. So you look at last night, short term all the time. I think you see anytime a guy gets hurt, one of your stars gets hurt. I mean, it seems for the first game or 2 or 3, whatever it is. I mean, things. Somebody seems to find a way, to do some extra stuff to help out, and you seem to win some of those games. But I think in a series like this, to not have maybe their best player, their best center iceman certainly should have some effect on them. I mean, I give them credit last night. The secondary scoring, as you talked about, for Mesnikov, Niederreiter, they finally got some scoring from other than somebody else other than Scheifele or Connor. So we'll see where that goes, but it has to have an effect on the offense of this hockey, just like we're seeing with Noah Holloway in the lineup for the Blues. I mean, you can't. Here's a guy that scored 39 goals, 87 points. You can't take a guy out of the lineup like that and expect that it's not going to have an effect on you.
Bernie, what could a Texier do when he's a foot away from Kyle Connor? I know you can't just tackle him at that point, but it drives me bananas when a guy, especially that guy, is just kind of camped out. You know it's coming. What should a forward be doing in that moment?
Well, that's kind of a seam right there, Martin, and that's a difficult spot to be in. I mean, it was kind of a broken play. It looked like it was going to be a high-sticking call, and then I thought that it was a really good play behind the net, just to kick the puck back out to Scheifele. But, it's still it should be the defenseman's responsibility. He was in tight there. When Connor is in a situation like that, you can't get caught looking at the puck. Was Texier going to come right back? He almost scored from the crease. To me, that's more of the defense's position than Texier's position to have to come all the way back. Because on that side, when the puck's on your side, your responsibility as a winger is more as the point man as your guy. But everybody collapsed on that play there, and someone's got to pick up the most dangerous guy really on their team in Connor. But I think that's more of a defenseman that should be in front of the net as opposed to having Texier come over.
Interesting, because, Texier was closest, but Leddy would have been the nearest defenseman in that moment. And then similarly, I thought with Niederreiter, he's kind of in front, and I hate that too. Whenever there's a guy, maybe that's the Hoosier in me, Bernie, I'm always yelling, get him out of there! Get him out of there!
Again, that's battling for position. Everybody talks about position. You don't have to be the biggest guy. You just got to get position, and it's really hard now. You can't cross-check or hold or do the things you could in the old days now. Once a guy gets position, it's really hard to box him out, and I think that you got to try to box the guy out before he gets to the front of the net. Keep him to the outside instead of having him come right in front of your goaltender. It's no different than the goal that Walker scored. The same way, going to the front of the net, he's standing right on top of Hellebuyck when the goal went in, and to me, when a play like that, a deflection comes in, I think that the goaltender really, if the guy's that close to the crease, the goaltender needs to get right up against the guy so that there's no space, for that puck to go. And even if the guy runs into you, you can at least review it and maybe get a call that goes for you instead of having have the goal allowed. So there's all kinds of different things happening, but I think Winnipeg did a much better job last night in getting pucks to the front of the net, getting bodies to the front of the net to get in front of Binnington.
Going back to Scheifele for just a moment, I'm sure the Jets probably think the Blues are targeting him and trying to knock him out of the game. Do teams actually have that kind of discussion that we want to hit this guy so hard that he's got to leave the game? Is that ever said out loud?
No, Doug. The most valuable players on the other team, you got to hit. But no one's trying to hurt anybody. the whole deal is you talk about punishment. It's just every time you get hit, it takes a toll on you. You got to get back up if you get knocked down. So, it's just it's not only a physical thing, but it's a mental game where you go, okay, I'm going to get knocked down here. I'm going to try to change my game so I can go somewhere else. So maybe you're not going to the front of the net. But certainly, all the star players are always targeted. But most of them are really hard to hit. You don't really get an isolation like that on a guy like Scheifele as you did last night. The same thing happened with Kyrou when he got hit by, in that one game too. It's hard to isolate those guys, and really Connor is hard to get hit too. You look at the Blues players, the good Blues players. If you look at a guy like Rich Navicher, Thomas, or they're not getting hit very often because they don't put themselves in a position because they're looking all the time to make sure that they're not in a spot where they really have their head down where they can get hit.
A couple questions on that, Bernie. Now, let me start with this one. Logan Stanley after the whistle going after Jimmy Snuggerud. We've seen it a couple times. That just strikes me as a little odd, but maybe I'm off the mark on that. What is your assessment of that been? Because we've seen it a couple times in Winnipeg.
I thought that was bizarre last night because unless he said something to Stanley or there's something that happened in one of the games prior to this, because that made no sense. Because I mean, Stanley's huge. I mean, I thought he would have got more involved in where the scrum was going on, but he was trying to abuse Snuggerud. So I don't know. I'd like to ask Snuggerud if there was something that happened earlier in one of the games that he said something or he did something to him. But it was a weird deal.
That really is refreshing to hear that from you, because I'm looking at him going, what in the world is this? And it's the second time we've seen it with him.
Yeah, it was comical, to be honest, because he was chasing him around, and what's Snuggerud's going to mean? The guy's 6'7". Well, Snuggerud's not stupid. What are you going to do there? And that made no sense to me. It was bizarre.
And then my second one, you brought up the Kyrou hit. Kyrou led the Blues. He was plus 23 during the regular season, and unfortunately, he's minus 5 here through the 5 games, which is on the other end of the ranking for the Blues. I wonder if that hit in the first game is playing any role in it. Any assessment on what you've seen from number 25?
Yeah, I mean, it might have a little bit of an effect, but I think that the Jets are doing a good job. I mean, I think that the Jets do a really good job checking. I mean, they're not letting him get to the front of the net. They're not letting him get into position, to where he can actually burn them other than on the power play. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that I give the Jets more credit to the way they check than, what Kyrou's not doing. But, I mean, I think that he's got to be, get a little more speed going and try to get, inside the zone. And I think that line, I mean, the Schenn line was really good in Game 4. But last night, really no one other than the fourth line could get things going last night.
And Bernie, am I wrong? Is the approach still get lots of shots on Hellebuck, just get him to where maybe he gets a little shaky or questions himself? I feel like that still could be a storyline if they get to him in Game 6, push it back to Winnipeg. That narrative, I think, could still be brought back up to the surface. I mean, he only had to stop 19 shots last night. I just feel like you got to make Hellebuck beat you.
Absolutely, Martin. I mean, and then the goal that Snuggerud scored was a terrible goal. I mean, I said it last night. You can't let a goal go in there from the short side right along the ice inside the post. Your skate's got to be against the post. I mean, this is one of the top goaltenders in the league, and for him to allow a goal like that was I was shocked. So he's still fighting the game, and that's what kind of was disappointing when Snuggerud scored that goal last night to tie it at 2. I thought, okay, here it is. The whole the ceiling is going to cave in there in Winnipeg because Hellebuck just had another bad one, and now the Blues need to get a bunch of shots from anywhere on him, and he's going to probably let some more bad ones in, and they only had 3 shots in that second period, so they didn't get to doing that, and so I still don't think that Hellebuck has found his game, or I don't think he's confident at all, and I think that game plan, yes, for tomorrow night and even hopefully into Sunday is keep getting more shots, get more traffic, but you got to get more pucks to the front of the net.
Bernie Federko giving us his perspective on Game 5. Game 6 here tomorrow night in St. Louis, expecting one hell of an atmosphere and a Blues response. Bernie, always enjoy the conversation. Thanks so much for taking time out of your morning to join us.
Thanks, gentlemen. Let's hope it's a good one tomorrow, and hope we got hockey on Sunday.
Amen. Bernie Federko with us here on 101 ESPN, joining us on the Callier and Thompson phone line. So far on the Stiefel dossier, we've heard from Jeremy Rutherford en route back from Winnipeg to St. Louis, Adam Wainwright, and now Bernie Federko coming up on the Stiefel dossier, the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today at 10:45. Send yours in. First one of the month, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Design, Air, Martin, you're a client. Doug's a client. I'm a client.
We talk about sports all the time. We talk about weather a lot on this show. It affects everything you do, and when you're inside your home, that's when you can control the weather and make it cool, warm, whatever you're looking to do. You got to make sure the HVAC's working properly. There are a lot of options out there. There's one that this show recommends. That's Design Air. Go online to designairservice.com. Set up your appointment online. This time of year, great idea is to get the tune-up for your air conditioner. Before it's running nonstop for months, tune it up right now. Any issues, they've got great repairman who will come, and the handsome repairman, I believe they have said on this show as
Yeah,
well.
Cletus, I think, was attracted to Justin.
Justin, okay. So not only that, that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
You're not actually paying for that.
That wasn't in the copy.
The handsome repairman is just, I think Manute Bowl eligible might even say.
Oh, he liked him too? That's awesome, man. Justin, you're so hot.
I get confused, but on top of that, they're great at repairing the HVAC without trying to sell you something they don't need. They work with their team on that all the time. They've been around since 1904, fourth generation St. Louis family business. It's designairservice.com.
There it is. Design Air Heating and Cooling is sponsor of the email of the day here on the morning after. Martin's got this onboarding. It's Game 6 onboarding. So
Cousin Nick texted from Minnesota yesterday. He said, what is this with onboarding? And then I had to kind of give him the backstory, and I don't know that it really cleared it up.
Martin will be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. for TMA, the morning of the Sundress Special Showdown in St. Louis. So what a glorious day. Chairman Kurt will be on the ones and twos. Is little Jackie Papers is getting an early start on a long weekend at the Lake of the Ozarks. Jackson usually takes his cigarette boat out for the first time on Memorial Day weekend, but this year you're getting out there a little earlier.
Yeah,
You got a big ciggy?
When that sun hit my shoulders, yeah, I'm on payment number 7 of 42.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's not a
Good,
number.
great rate I got. So in the long run, I'm actually going to make money.
Tim, in the dossier, though,
At least that's what they told me.
if I could, just put my ears on during onboarding, there is this question that persists.
Yeah,
Can someone wear the hat of another?
This is what Jackson hates when you...
Well, I'm cigarette boats calling, so you can do whatever you want.
I just want to point out, this is, as long as I've been on this show, I believe this question has been in the dossier. Can someone wear the hat of another baseball team without it being a sign of fandom for that team? ...
Yeah, an answer?
Discuss. No, discuss.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna
At
let
your
us-
leisure, you guys
Jackson
discuss.
really wants to wear the Pirates hat. That's what this comes down to. And so he wants to have
Whole
clearance.
town's
Well,
talking
Chairman
about
Kurt
it.
wears a Padres hat in here.
Yeah, but he always has to answer, like, are you a Padres fan? Like, what's up with the Padres hat? And I'm just wondering, can we separate a ball cap of a Major League Baseball team from fandom? You know, I want to wear a Pirates hat.
Wear whatever you like.
I know, but then I'm going to be answering, what's up with the Pirates hat, you loser?
Ah!
Oh,
Or like Kelly Green Oakland A's hat.
just say I like the hat.
I was going to say, is it that hard to just say I like the hat?
I mean, it's not hard, but I think people are going to have their assumptions about you. You know,
They'll think less of you because you're wearing a hat of another
I just
club?
think they might not even ask. They're just going to assume you're a fan of that team.
Well, you can talk about it. It could be a topic this hour. That's
Yeah,
why
like
I'm
on the
sprinkling it.
Stiefel
dossier. Yeah,
Sprinkling it out there.
Just call it sprinkling.
I wasn't burning it. Sprinkling.
Sprinkling, that's different. Enjoy that feces-infested lake, Jackson. That's from Dewey Oxberger.
It won't be touching my skin.
Martin heading to onboarding. Jackson getting ready to head to the lake here in a little bit. Send your emails in the morning after at InsideSTL.com for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today. 10 o'clock hour coming up next. It's TMA presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.
Hey, this is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update, and that's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Well, the Timberwolves end the Lakers' season last night, winning 103-96 with a gentleman's sweep. Rudy Gobert with 27 points and 24 rebounds for the Frenchman. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's the morning after 101 ESPN shows presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. And Jackson, you used to be critical of what you call engagement farming?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
And an engagement farming tweet would be something along the lines of, I know everybody says this, but I say that. Is that what engagement farming is?
Yeah, kind of, or like a purposely bad take. And then there's really like forward engagement farming, like
what in the world?
Like heading to Buenos Aires. Anybody got a restaurant?
Oh, that kind
they
of
like
thing.
to go to.
Okay.
Like literally encouraging people to flood your mentions, and you get a little mention that you're going to South America.
So it's a humble brag?
Yeah, that's the old twofer.
Wow, the 2-for-1, a forward engagement farm. All right, what about this? Now, this is in support of you.
Ooh,
MD 2020 in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, where 247 friends have gathered to talk it over. I'm probably in the minority, but I'm going to miss Jackson tomorrow. I hope he has a great time at the lake and stays safe. And then a kissing emoji.
That's very nice of him.
How about
Slightly, just it's a little backhand. It's like just a little.
But is it just engagement farming?
I don't think you can engagement farm in the text inbox. Considering
This is a YouTube chat.
Never mind. Yes, you can absolutely engagement farm.
It was that engagement farming.
Yes, but I think
it was supportive of you, so you do still want to call it engagement farming.
I think engagement farming sometimes carries a poor connotation, like a negative connotation, and that's not always the case. Almost always is, but in this case, no. But again, I think you could have left out that I might be in the minority part.
I guess if you were to put up some sort of poll, like, what do you think, A, B, C, or D, that would be engagement farming.
Yes, exactly. And I don't think would be a
negative
bad thing.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, but I would say for the most part, the lion's share of engagement farming is negative.
The lion's share of engagement farming is negative. That's Jackson Burkett, May 1st, 2025. Brandon Baker is in that Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, and he says, I hope he doesn't get any strange anus fungus from the lake water.
Oh, I'm not getting in.
You think Sweet Kai will?
He won't be there.
What about Herb?
Also, unfortunately, won't be there.
Who's going to be at this thing?
PCP?
PC, of course. It's his bachelor party. Private Citizen
My
Pete.
apologies.
How many men are going to stay in this home?
I think there's an 11 total.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
So much ween.
And it's just a tent?
We're not in a tent.
Oh, you got 11 guys in a tent.
You think you could find an 11-man tent?
I don't know. I guess you could make one if you're desperate.
Yeah. No, there'll be no tents. No camping. I don't camp.
How many beds?
11. This is
11 beds, 11 men.
Yeah, this is the first time I've gone on one of these #boys trips. And there's been...
Well, you went to one in Tennessee.
Yeah, there wasn't enough beds for men in that one. I slept in like a windowsill in that one.
Oh.
Wide windowsill. But this is the first time that we've had beds matching the amount of guys going.
If you had to share a bed with one of your boys, who would you most want to share it with?
Oh, no.
Probably the Ken dog.
Boy, you answered that quickly.
That was a quick call. He knew where he was in the hand.
Sure did.
You're welcome to get involved on the program, as many are choosing to do. So many different ways to do so. Collier and Thompson phone lines, 314-974-0101. Text in, 314-399-9646. Email in for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email day. A little war now going on between Dan Jansen and Buck Swope. You've got the one that's been going on for a few years with the Worson Woods Wacko and Mr. Licks. Sharon in Clayton. Ann Maui and Sanibel in Michigan is at war with the self-made stay-at-home Ladue mom. Who am I leaving?
Webster and Cottleville.
Webster and Cottleville, just in general, they're at war. So if you want to pick a fight with somebody in the audience, feel free to do so, and then email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. I'm curious, this is called Gallup polling, which is different than engagement farming.
Okay.
It's when you make a Gallup poll and you send it to the audience.
It's not a Gallup poll. This is done by the Gallup organization.
Your emotion going into Game 6, are you still confident? Or are you thinking, okay,
the Blues have to win 2 in a row over these boys, and one of them's got to be in Winnipeg, where they've barely lost all year long. I'm at peace with the Blues season coming to an end, or would you describe yourself as confident? Listen, I was just saying this in the commercial break, a rare moment where, because usually we flirt with each other during the commercial break, and I think they should probably carry that on YouTube.
Oh.
But in this case, we were talking some Stanley Cup playoffs, and I was saying to the boys, I said, listen, I picked the Jets in 6 on the spread zone, and I realized picking the Jets in St. Louis, of course, not a popular thing to do, but that's what I think, so that's what I say. But I think this Scheifele thing is so important, and I don't think Arniel is as pissed as he is if it's just a minor injury, and therefore I'd be surprised if we see him out there tomorrow night. And, of course, I would also say on Sunday, you don't have the 2-day gaps in between games anymore. That changes the arithmetic. And so I am not of the opinion that this thing is over. And I don't think too many people in St. Louis are. I'm sure some people in Winnipeg are thinking that, just like Blues fans 24 hours ago had a great deal of confidence. That's the nature of playoffs in any sport, but perhaps more so the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I'm expecting the Blues to come out and go after these guys tomorrow. And what we saw in 2019, where they would wear teams out as series went on, you're starting to see it. And that's why Arniel's complaining about it. So I don't know, Doug. I'm not giving up the ship.
Don't give up on this club. No, I think they'll come out on fire tomorrow night. I think they'll win tomorrow night. I hope the Jets miss Scheifele, although they didn't seem to miss him much last night. He missed much of the game, if not more than half of the game last night, and they still pretty much outplayed the Blues for while he was gone. So maybe that's a big factor, but if you've only got 2 games left to play, maybe not. But I would think the Blues would win tomorrow night, and then game Sunday 7 is a toss-up.
Papers.
Yes, that's me. I thought there was a question coming.
The question was established.
I know, I wasn't paying attention.
My goodness.
Thinking about the lake.
This guy's already at the lake, isn't he? He's already on the cigarette boat.
Got a flotation device lined up?
Yellow. It's diaper-shaped. Give me the note in both games, you know?
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, give me the note in both games.
I feel like that was a take made up on the spur of the moment.
Well, I fear this pattern of who.
Just be honest. You're focused on the Warriors and Rockets.
I am, but I feel that there's this pattern where whichever barn is being played at really is. Well, then,
but you think?
Yeah, that's the problem. I think someone's got to break the pattern. If the Blues are going to win, they have to break the pattern. So, got to keep the pattern for tomorrow. And then break the pattern on Sunday.
I see.
Keep the pattern tomorrow.
Keep it, break it.
Keep and break.
All right.
I'm hoping for a keep and break.
ESPN might put you in studio for Game 7 with that.
Might as well. It was a rough broadcast, bro.
Why are you watching that and not...
I'm having issues, surprise, surprise, with FanDuel TV. And it's just like not working. I can get on my phone, no problem. But with my actual television set,
really,
it's having issues. So I go YouTube TV. Trust me, I'm not happy about it. I much like watching yesterday. I was like, this is actually really ruining my enjoyment.
Yeah, I had some buddies in a group text last night bitching about the broadcast, and I'm thinking to myself, but I didn't want to be like,
that's brutal.
Hey, you can watch it on.
Yeah.
FanDuel. I don't want to be that guy, so I'm just like, all right. I'm thinking to myself, why are you watching that?
I know. Trust me. If I was trying actively to get the FanDuel one up on my television, it just wasn't working right for me.
Moving it from your phone to the smart TV?
No, I have the FanDuel Sports TV app on my TV, but for whatever reason, it's not letting me connect my TV provider. It's a real pain in the ass. So I just was like, all right, let's watch it on YouTube TV.
Pay attention, Papers. You're still on a damn clock. It's from Big Tuft.
No doubt.
Gosh.
That's actually a fair criticism.
When are you going to break your pattern of abstinence, pal? That's from the Worsen Woods Wacko.
Good one.
There's a pattern of abstinence? Is that how it works?
If you've been abstinent your whole life, would that no longer be a pattern, just be a character trait?
It's a fair retort.
Probably so.
Oh, boy, it sounds like a real banger this weekend, Jackson. 11 dudes piled into a camper to sit around and watch Wet Pink. That's from the Warson Wetwacko also.
Didn't ask for your review of what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I didn't wake up this morning and be like, man, I really wonder what the Warson Wetwacko thinks of my trip I'm taking with my friends. Didn't occur to me.
Are you deep down mad that the trip isn't at a different location?
No, I like the Ozarks. It's more of a golf trip.
Oh, is that right? You boys are ball striking?
Yeah.
You going to compress it?
There's some good courses out there.
Well, you have
it's
don't come in too steep. Club.
No, I know.
Club face closed, Doug. Things too open.
There's so many. Doug, I know you have several sons who are a little older than I am. This time of their lives, this time of my life, late 20s, it's wedding season left and right.
Oh, yeah.
And so if everyone wants to take a bachelor party trip to Vegas or Scottsdale or Palm Springs on the buggy whip,
Guys go to Palm Springs?
I'll be
the Ledoux living, Doug. I just can't relate.
I'll be the guy with his pockets hanging out with nothing in them. So something like the Ozarks for a bachelor party trip is kind of perfect.
Works.
Yeah.
Greg Vaughn is struggling to stay out of a life of poverty.
I know.
Flying to Scottsdale and Nashville and Vegas and Chicago.
Suit rentals.
Every week it's somewhere.
Tuxedo rentals are crazy. It's weddings are expensive, so I have no issue with.
I love Jackson, and if he wants to sleep with his friends, why does everyone have to chime in on that? That's from Arbor Day, who won Texter of the Year in 2023 and 2024.
Top 3 favorite texter for me.
Arbor Day?
Love Arbor Day.
Little Tommy Tribbins?
Little Tommy Tribbins. I like Manupal Eligible a lot. Brian Henshin always brings the heat. And I love the name Arbor Day. I think it's a perfect text name. But that was a leading, it wasn't a question, a leading statement.
I like that Arbor Day doesn't overdo it. Picks the spots.
Like Justin in Columbia, who would strike Doug like a snake. He'd strike.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's no chance that this isn't really a golf trip. It's just an excuse to go to one of Lake of the Ozarks fudgerias.
Like a fudge tour? Mm-hmm. Just sample it. I know. How much are you supposed to eat in one sitting, Because you get one of those blocks. I'm supposed to eat a whole block of fudge.
I think you eat a block, and then you go get some saltwater taffy.
There's no
wash it down. That's how you wash it down.
There's no unit size. Like a piece of cake, slice of pizza, cup of ice cream. How much fudge does one man eat?
You know what else is like that? It's peanut brittle.
Ugh. Yuck.
I watched the FanDuel app through the Amazon Prime app on my TV, Jackson. Maybe that'll help. That's from the old Appleton stepdad. Beautiful morning for country time lemonade on the front porch in old Appleton.
I think, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you're doing the direct-to-consumer package where you pay the $20 a month or whatever
it is for a season. That's how I watch it.
But I have a TV provider, and I don't think you can connect your TV provider through Amazon Prime to get FanDuel. I'm trying to get...
That's what I do.
But you're not using your Spectrum login or anything, are you? You're using
my YouTube TV.
Your YouTube TV, but you're still paying the monthly payment to FanDuel, right?
That's correct.
I am not.
Well, I'm paying it to Amazon Prime.
Sure, but
and then it's an add-on when you go to Amazon Prime for $19.99 a month.
For sure.
And it's, from my standpoint, Doug, check this out. Sick ROI, bro.
Oh, really?
Right, but you're not logging in with like a Spectrum or a
I'm not
TV.
a Spectrum customer.
Right, so I'm trying to sign in with a Spectrum login like I would normally to get the FanDuel.
Well, if you're a Spectrum client, then you should have Spectrum.
I don't have a box. And the streaming app or whatever, no, it's blocked. It doesn't work. The FanDuel thing is blocked out on Spectrum.
How do you watch anything then if you don't have a box?
YouTube TV.
Well, then why do you have Spectrum?
Good question, Doug.
To watch the Cardinals and Blues.
But
Cardinals.
You can't. You don't have a box.
But I can usually sign into the FanDuel Sports app on my television and get all the games.
But now, for some reason, you cannot.
There you go.
And you don't know why.
I don't, no.
So you're going to just leave your home and go to the Ozarks and eat fudge?
In protest of the FanDuel TV app, I'm going to the Ozarks.
Okay. Jackson's trip will remind him of the time he spooned with Ricardo Ratliff after a night at Harpo's in 2019. It will be beautiful and magical. That's from the St. Charles Hermaphrodite.
God, could he play? And 6'8".
The St. Charles Hermaphrodite can play? What is he, like a good ball striker? Or is he good around the greens or what?
No, he sucks. Ricardo Ratliff, boy, he could play. He's 6'8", but you would have thought he was 7 feet tall with how he played.
Really?
No, he's great. Won a bunch of MVPs and championships, I think, in Korea after Mizzou. So shout out to Ricardo Ratliff.
I've actually had better luck with the app since it's become FanDuel. Kind of like that time the cyborg era of TMA was simply fixed by a made-up guy named Gino.
Not made up.
Flipping a switch makes me wonder what the issue was all along. That's from Alan Dadeville.
Another one of my favorite texters. Yes, that part is true. I have great on my phone. FanDuel app works better than it's like Fox Sports Midwest days work in terms of how good it works. Just can't get it on my television. Very frustrating.
You've tried turning it off and turning it on.
Yeah, a little power cycle.
Yeah.
Pay your Spectrum bill, Piddles. That's from John.
Not the issue, but thank you. Ja. Was that his name? John.
Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com for our Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. Mark Hanna, sponsor of the 9 o'clock hour, great 9 o'clock hour with Adam Wainwright and Bernie Federko, our guests, along with the Blues playoff conversation here. Mark Hanna's online at evergreenstl.com, or you can call him at 314-889-0503. He is with Evergreen Wealth Strategies. He is a financial advisor, and I would tell you this. If I could go back, Doug, to what would I go back to? How about I'm starting with you at KMOV. Was it March 22nd, 2000?
I don't remember the date.
And then the day after the Cardinals acquired Jim Edmonds, I think. But either way, I would say, man, I wish I had a financial advisor then. I wish I knew Mark Hanna then. The things that I would have done going back over the last 25 years, financial advisor, never get off the Propecia. And probably would have gotten this surgery I'm getting in China with the leg extensions in July. Would have gotten that
Is
back
that Mark Hanna's area, too? He's a Propecia salesman?
Mark Hanna said, hey, here is how you can budget for your breaking leg extension surgery in China. And so that's the kind of thing that he can do. Financial advisor, get a financial. And it's not just if you're 23 like I was. It can be 43, 53, 63. It doesn't matter. And how much it can impact things positively. Compound interest, brother. That's the name of the game. Mark Hanna, 314-889-0503. Go online at evergreenstl.com. Send your emails in. Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today. It's TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, 101 ESPN.
TMA is brought to you by St. Louis-based Scheifele, a leading wealth management and investment banking firm. Scheifele is the firm where success meets success and has been since 1890. They were founded in downtown St. Louis in 1890. Same street the company is headquartered on today. Different building. Got a beautiful building there now, but same street. Proud to have called St. Louis home for 135 years. They partner with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Blues, and now the Scheifele Charity Classic. They also sponsor Scheifele Theater. Scheifele is honored to support the city, the people, and their future. With financial advisors in 12 offices across the region, Scheifele helps clients right here in St. Louis and nationwide manage their hard-earned wealth. Scheifele also provides banking, lending, and trust services and has a full-service investment bank. Basically, when it comes to finance, Scheifele has you covered. Scheifele and TMA, that's where success meets success. Scheifele Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
TMA 101 ESPN shows presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. Got the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today coming up in 20 minutes. We've been joined by Jeremy Rutherford, Adam Wainwright, and Bernie Federko. Chris Pronger is a friend of the show, a surprise guest. And when Scott Arniel was calling out Jim Montgomery and the referees on the Scheifele injury, Chris Pronger, who's gotten active on the Twitter tweets, he said, this is how you work the referees in the league after your player was caught twice unaware of an oncoming player about to finish their check. Both hits were clean and heavy. 55 needs to be more aware. Neither hit was a deliberate attempt to injure, in my opinion. Pronger then shows a replay of the hit and says, this has been a hard physical series with a lot of heavy hits, this being another one. From this angle, I can understand the Jets' viewpoint, but this is the playoffs, and you have to be more aware, especially a player of Scheifele's caliber. There you go, Chris Pronger. Obviously, a former Blue, giving his opinion, but Scott Arniel is not pleased.
I'm sure it's hard to be aware sometimes because you're in there fighting for the puck like he was early on the shin hit, fighting for the puck, and then you just turn around and you get blasted. Yeah. There's just not much room there, whether you're aware or not. And so that's my opinion on that.
That was kind of like how Forrest Gump would wrap up a story with somebody who was completely unaware while they were sitting on a park bench with him in Savannah. Was that Savannah?
I think so.
Hello. You tell him, Prongs. That's from MD 2020 in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. Michelob Ultra, 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbohydrates. It's only worth it if you want it. And you can tee off with TMA for the Michelob Ultra Dotem. The return of the Dotem Golf Tournament is May 29th to May 30th at Oak Valley Golf Course and Resort. Get your foursome together for a full day out on the course with TMA, including complimentary breakfast from Donut Drive-In, lunch from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, all your Michelob Ultra, the 100 West Dental closest to the pin competition, a long drive contest courtesy of Pondoff's Anonymous Recovery Podcast, and an after party with food from Texas Roadhouse on Thursday and Super Smokers Barbecue on Friday. Registration now open at 101ESPN.com, with a portion of the proceeds benefiting the St. Louis Hero Network in honor of Brian McKenna. Find all the Dotem information now at 101ESPN.com. It's presented to you by Michelob Ultra. Take a commercial break. Come back with more TMA on 101 ESPN.
Doug, were you uncomfortable during the commercial break with the flirtatious behavior between the Lake of the Ozarks' very own Jackson Burkett and the Fast Lane's very own Marshy Marsh and the Playful Posse?
Well, I've come to expect it at this point.
At one point, Jackson asked him if he was wearing anything under his top.
Well, he was wearing a quarter zip, and all I saw under it was I'll be honest, boy chest at that. And
Have you undergone any of the training with HR?
Yeah, maybe you need to go onboarding with Martin.
And I was just wondering if he was going, just nothing under the quarter zip. But he had a tank top on.
That's an unusual look, wouldn't it? Nothing under the quarter zip?
Yeah, it's not what I would personally ever. No. Although sometimes, Tim, with those white TMA STL shop hoodies, those like kind of lightweight ones.
Yeah, I'm wearing one right now.
I'll sometimes go no shirt under it because it feels really good.
You like it on your nipples, boy?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I sure do.
The question was, you like it on your nipples, boy? That was the question.
Well, that's going to sound so good. Drops of the week tomorrow.
8:45 drops of the week. Tomorrow, Game 6 broadcast. We're offering a wide variety of friends of the feather for the program tomorrow. We'll have a Jim Dandy, even with Jackson not being here, getting out early, getting down to the lake. What do you got to do? You got to do something like painting the cigarette boat, or what do you?
Yeah. Well, I got to de-winterize it.
You get the barnacles off of there,
right? It's been in the marina, quote unquote, all winter.
Don't forget to hit the bilge pump.
The bilge pump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Marshy can pull it off. Jackson cannot. That's from the 314.
That's actually true.
Pale, throw your Frank Haith body pillow in the car and meet me and the St. Charles Hermaphrodite at the McDonald's in Kingdom City on your way to the lake. And we will break the pattern of your holes against the aquarium while the goldfish stare at your quarter pounder.
I don't know what any of that means.
4 or 5 Fluffernutters fan page moderator.
4 or 5 crimes were mentioned in that text. Real quick, how off-putting would it be if you were driving down the highway and you saw a gentleman alone in his car, but in the passenger seat was a lifelike Frank Haith body pillow strapped into the passenger seat? Would you call the cops, or would you just keep going?
I think people do that kind of thing in some cities where you need more than one driver to be in the far left lane.
Frank Haith body pillow? That's what they do?
Larry David did it on the way to a Dodger game.
Yeah, but he picked up a hua.
And she went to the game with him.
That's right. Spoiler alert. Yeah. James Carlton is my insurance agent. I'd like him to become your insurance agent as well. He is online at carltoninsurance.net, and he has 423 5-star reviews on Google. Why are people so enthused that they go and give a 5-star review to an insurance agent? Well, because the customer service and James' staff going out of their way to be proactive in saving their clients money. I have no idea why you would not be a James Carlton State Farm Insurance client. I really don't. I suppose you could be an insurance agent yourself. That might explain it. Or maybe a family member is an insurance agent. But other than that, you're doing yourself a disservice by not working with the best. Make the switch. They'll do all the paperwork for you. It's carltoninsurance.net. I've been a client for 6 years. 314-961-4800. Design Air Heating and Cooling email today coming up, the very first one in the month of May. And I see Dan Jansen has an email in there, and it's titled Buck Swope. And this war is intensifying here as we celebrate the Maypole. Are we celebrating the Maypole today?
Well, we should. We were going to, where was it, Villa? We have to go to
we always
dance
get invited
a little bit.
That's coming up next. Design Air Heating and Cooling email today.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tomorrow night for Game 6 right here in St. Louis. Pregame will start, right around 6 p.m. Puck drops at 7 p.m. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Well, Doug, you're right. It is the first Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day, the month of May. And the month of May is always hotly contested because it is a Dotem month. And that's when people really start ratcheting their games up. Plus, you have the Stanley Cup playoffs. You have the Celtics Magic coming to a conclusion. That frees some people's schedules up. So you want to tell people about Design Air Heating and Cooling?
Yeah, that'll free up your schedule if everything's working with your heating and cooling system. When it comes to heating and cooling, trust the name that's been around longer than all of us, a lot longer. Design Air Heating and Cooling, proudly serving the area since 1904. That's over a century of keeping homes comfortable and customers happy. They're not just another HVAC company. They happen to be the longest-running sponsor on TMA, and that loyalty says a lot. At the helm, Seth Goldcamp, a name you can trust, leading a team that truly values integrity. At Design Air, they believe in honest work. You'll never be sold something you don't need. Whether you're dealing with the St. Louis cold or the summer heat, they have got your back with dependable service and no-pressure solutions. Visit designairservice.com and schedule your service today. Design Air, now the home of the handsome repairman. Design Air.
Is that in the copy?
Since 1904, home of the handsome repairman.
I like that a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. Hey! Dan Jansen and Time Sharon and Clayton need to get outside and walk a few laps around the block, mostly because we need a break from them, but also because they both sound husky. Don't read this Chubb's email. That's from Arbor Day, Doug. That was via text, but I included it in Design Air Heating.
Not very nice. Arbor Day with a poor email.
Do you like the name Time Sharon and Clayton?
No.
Pretty good.
Let's see what else we got here. I am choosing not to email into the show today because of NBA boy's behavior. He doesn't watch the hockey games until the playoffs like a common bandwagon bum.
Yep.
He's skipping work tomorrow to go bunk up with 11 dudes at a feces-filled liquid garbage dump.
It's called PTO, you bozo.
Worst of all, he is also now openly rooting for the Pittsburgh Pirates. What happened? All that I'm loyal to the soil stuff, tough guy. Actually, I can forgive all the other crap, but I can't look past the fact that Jackson wasn't paying attention when Tim called on him in the 10 o'clock hour. When the incomparable Tim McKernan speaks, you better listen, bro. Tim is our hero. He demands respect. It's a miracle John Kiowski didn't come into the studio, grab you by the collar, and throw your pale ass out onto Olive Boulevard. You'll be working at Chevy's Fresh Mex if this behavior continues. Straighten up or I will gape you into submission. That's from the JV golf coach who won the month of April.
JV golf coach with a hostile email.
Yeah, boy.
Happy Thursday, lads. Turnstile predictions for Friday. Number 1, Sunflower Showdown. Sunflower. Number 2, Battlehawks. Number 3, Youngry Birds. My question is, how is Dan Jansen going to solicit his companionship to 3 separate home games? Pistol Pale made up a friend's wedding out of town just so he had a solid excuse this time. Martin has clearly stated he'll be in the can, so that'll leave Tim and Doug to come up with another off-the-cuff lie. Dan will once again have to dry his tears from his nacho helmet and offer himself up like a real man. Someone like Bachelor Baseball who sneaks into Ballpark Village only to get rejected by the masses. That's a real man. Blues and 7. Cheers, my cousin Vinny.
My cousin Vinny.
After hearing that Chairman Kurt is on board with the Goon Shack, I realized I have a business opportunity on my hands. Do you think I can list my Warren County Whack Shack on Airbnb? Otherwise, Doug, I may need your assistance again to make a Goon Mobile so I can reach Jackson and others that don't go outside of the 270 loop. I guess let me know what you guys think. Shoot, I may even be open to business partners if you guys are interested. P.S. Hey, Doug, I found a hot pink fleshlight that has property of Douglas Elvin.
No.
Sharpie on it.
All right, that's enough.
It's Joey Vitale's face dong.
Joey Vitale's face dong with a vile email.
Dan Jansen has issued his response to Buck Swope's response yesterday, Doug, as the listeners now are warring with each other.
Okay.
Right as the Real Housewives of TMA gets ready to shoot. Buck, it's time to hang it up. With all due respect, you are slipping. 10 years ago, could a wise ass like me get under your skin? The chat room is laughing at you, not with you. Your shtick is tired. It's just not funny anymore. Please announce your retirement now. We will have a small ceremony at the Dotem and retire your jersey. All you were doing is taking up a roster spot for the youngeries like my cousin Vinny and the JV golf coach. Please give them the runway they have earned. That's from Dan Jansen, and then he gives his phone number.
Dan Jansen, BR549.
And finally, I don't know what kind of sports journalism you're all practicing nowadays, but the blatant disrespect for this team's real teams has gone on long enough. I'm talking, of course, about the St. Louis Rams and the River City Otters, two cornerstones of our city sports legacy that apparently everyone has just chosen to forget. Let me remind you, the Rams won a Super Bowl here and had a signing at Service Merchandise off Mid-Rivers Mall Drive that didn't cost an arm and a leg. That's more than the Battlehawks City FC or your precious Blues who won a ring during COVID. I'm supposed to be happy that a crap team won a crap season? That's like happy with TMA's product when half the staff was furloughed and the other half was dialing in from Jupiter during a lawn mowing competition.
Yeah.
Back in the Edward Jones Dome, before they let it become a glorified monster NASCAR Expo Rally Center, we had greatness. Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Ty Hill, Jason Smith. That's Mount Rushmore stuff, not Flavor of the Month TikTok soccer squad playing in North City for divorced moms and CWE's yuppies interning at Stiefel. You know what I don't see anymore? Tailgates where a guy named Raccoon Randy from 7-Eleven slow roast pork steaks on his shopping cart he borrowed from Schnucks. That's community. And don't get me started on the River City Otters. You people talk about the Blues like they invented hockey in St. Louis. You ever watch minor league hockey in an arena where the Zamboni breaks mid-game and they send out a guy with a can of RC Cola and a mop? The Otters made the family arena feel like Madison Square Garden with a real bad case of Sugarfoot.
Oh.
We need to bring the Rams back. I don't care what Inglewood thinks. And the Otters, it's not too late. Someone tell Hubbard and KPLR to start covering the real stories again. Enough with these shiny new franchises and their, quote, winning records. Give me a 4-12 Rams team and a semi-pro roller hockey squad that signs players from Craigslist, and I'll show you a sold-out crowd in St. Charles wearing commemorative rally towels from a 2003 Otters bobblehead night. Hatefully, that's Jerry.
Oh, wow.
That's Jerry Big Tank Del Vecchio, South County native, Rams PSL holder, 96-15. Otters club level legend, forever domed, forever honored. P.S. The River City Rage deserve a 30 for 30, Doug. That's Jerry Del Vecchio.
Page numbers on it.
Edit. I was ready to vote for Jerry Big Tank Del Vecchio, but he just kept going and going and going. I guess I could still vote for him. And I think I will. Big Tank gets my vote.
Is Arbor Day eligible?
Sure.
Yeah.
He was foul.
I'm going Arbor Day for the...
I liked my cousin Vinny.
I like not Dan Jansen, Joey Vitale's face dong. And when that happens, Joey Vitale's face dong.
Two-vote Tim.
Two-vote Tim, they call him when there's a tie. BK and Ferrario are coming up next. We will be with you again tomorrow at 7 a.m. Jackson will be at the Lake of the Ozarks, though. He doesn't care about Game 6. For Jackson Burkett, for Chairman Kurt, for Martin Kilcoyne, for my brother Kevin, for Douglas Elvin Vaughn, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been TMA, presented to you by Brown & Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.